Hello my fellow audience, welcome to my cabin. My name is Levi, I'm a VTuber who reads you a story for today, and my lips is not moving. Excuse me. Oh, I accidentally myself. I meant to change my lips. What? Error? Hold on a second. Let me fix that real quick. I just somehow disappear into After. Or... Actually no, I got raptured is the right word to say. I just got raptured into existence. Yeah, don't worry, I got this. And are we good? Perfect. And there we go. Hi. So, funny I should tell you. So, do you remember on my last stream when I said I was going to change my loading screen? Well, I made a new loading screen, but I actually did not like the way it looks, and I kind of miss the old one. Maybe it's because I reused it for I reused the Christmas loading screen and like changed the clothes and everything. Maybe that's why though, because let me show you. This is what it looks like. By the way, it's gonna be pretty big. Actually, no, it's not. There we go. Apparently, this is what it was supposed to look like, and I wasn't sure whether this fit if I want to use it or not. Maybe it's because I think what I'm missing is the glasses, my cool MLG glasses. Maybe it's the glasses I'm missing, but apparently this is what the new loading screen was supposed to look like. But maybe I'll change it. Maybe I'll use this like in the future, but it's going to be different. Just think of this loading screen as a prototype. Think of this as a little prototype of what it might look like. Think of Iron Man's Mark II Iron Man suit where it was silver, but it was supposed to be a prototype suit and it wasn't functionally already. There's some weaknesses he's got fixed, so he improved it with the Mark III suit by adding some cool gold on it, removing the weakness and adding some cool things onto it, fix all the weaknesses. Although he's still got some a lot of problems that he can always solve by making more suits. Think of it this one. Think of this as if it's my Mark II. This, actually no, the first one I had, which is like the work in progress, was Mark 0. This is Mark 1. And this is Mark 2. Maybe I'll use it. Maybe in my next stream I'll probably use it though. But I'll let you guys know. I'll let you know. But anyway, besides all chatting aside, I'm not streaming on Twitch though because I'm not sure whether readings and that's alright. But yeah, so I'm only streaming this on YouTube though because I felt like it. You know. That was a Twitch notification, by the way. But yes, by the way, midway stream, if I somehow pause or stop the stream for a bit, maybe I'll come back in an hour. It's because I got some important things to do later on. Maybe it's in an hour, but I won't say much about it since it's privacy reason. But I will let you know it's got to do with school. But yeah, that's all I want to say. So maybe in a few hours, if I say, "Oh guys, I'm gonna stop the stream real quick. I'll be right back," it's that. Because I still got some things I have to do. I haven't finished yet. So I'm waiting for my siblings to come home and they'll help me with it. Because they promised me those that they'll help me, so yeah. But anyways, yeah, so for those who don't know, this might I think I am this close to catching up on Bleach. Unironically, because a few days ago I finished reading Bleach Can't View Your Own World, which is a three volume light novels that takes place after the 1,000-Year Blood War. So here I am, because this novel we'll be reading, We Do Not Always Love You. This takes place like 3 years after the 1,000-Year Blood War, because Can't View Your Own World takes place few months after the events of 1,000-Year Blood War. This one takes years after 1,000-Year Blood. So think of this as if it's like a sequel though. Well, not a sequel though, but more of like a little time skip. Like a time jump like 3 years later. Think of it like that though. Just think of it like that. So yeah, after this, I will also be reading the Bleach Hell arc, which a lot of people have been talking about lately. That I haven't read it yet though, because I know this is like the continuation of Bleach. So after I'm finished reading this novel, I'll be reading the Hell chapter, the one-shot Hell arc at off stream. Literally off stream, because I assume it's like 50 chapters or 50 pages. Not chapters, but like 50 pages. I'm not sure how long it is, but I'll read it. And who knows, maybe they'll adapt it into an anime. I do hope that they adapt Can't Feel Your Own World into like maybe a movie, maybe an anime. Who knows? I hope they do, because it was actually a very great novel. Excuse me. It gave us a lot more lore, a lot more info that wasn't included in the main series manga, but that's what light novels are for, and why we appreciate light novels. Because if your series has too many answers or too many plot holes or a lot of stuff that you can't necessarily fit into the main story, then no problems, because that's what light novels are for. You can always include those into the light novels. Even some people may yell or fight, or some fans might fight against each other, thinking that they're not canon, or like they're canon or not. That's alright though, because they're very important, you know? Because if you have a lot of important infos but you can't fit in though, the main story, no worries. Because that's what light novels are for. And you guys may not know this, but Bleach actually has a lot of light novels actually. I read all of them. I read Spirits Are Forever With You, I read Death Saves Strawberry, and I also read Can't Feel Your Own World. I actually looked up online and like reading like Bleach in the chronicle order. I finished the manga and I caught up on the anime. And after I caught up on the 1000 Year Blood War anime, I actually looked up online to read some like light novels in order to read them. And I first read some one-shots. I read some the first novel that I read was like a volume novel, was Spirits Are Forever With You, and then I read some couple of like one-shot chapters, and last but not least, I finally got to Can't Fear Your Own World, and it was pretty great. I loved it though, and I really hope after the 1000 Year Blood War, I do hope they at least anime adapt these light novels. Maybe some of them, like Spirits Are Forever With You, maybe there'll be a movie. But for Can't Feel Your Own World, I could see it becoming like a series, because there's like 3 volumes and it's actually very long. I could see it become like getting an anime adaptation. But yeah. It'll be great though. It would be great though. It may not happen though. Maybe it won't happen though, because animation does take quite a long time. But I do hope, like in my dreams or in the future, it might happen. But yeah. Anyways, without further ado, and did I ever did a light novel reading stream? I don't think I ever did. It's like my first time reading a light novel on stream before. Did I ever? I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've done these types of streams, like reading streams. It's been a while. And where's my mouse? There it is. Anyways, oh wait, you can actually see my hand though. Hold on. When I move my mouse, you can literally see my hand. Looks like I'm doing like disco moves, like boopity doo 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 boopity dee doo. Look at that. Alright, hold on a second, I'll be right back. Gotta get my water, sorry. Oh yeah, if if I'm in the middle of a reading and I somehow like stop talking all of a sudden, it's because we actually have a heater on. It then automatically turns on when the room is warm enough, and it automatically turns off itself when the room is like warm enough. So it's like currently off right now, but when the room is a little colder, it automatically turns on, and it makes a sound when it's on, like zoom. And I always like wonder like, what's that? Oh, it's the heater. Not like the heater, since the heater's still broken in the house. The like actual heater, like a little box, like a box, you know? It's like turned on. Right now it's currently off right now, since like the room is warm enough. But if I somehow stop reading all of a sudden, then it's the heater that just, it automatically turns on itself and it makes a noise. So yeah. Alright, without further ado, it's time. And after this, how many pages? Because I think this is like almost 200 pages, if I remember correctly. I have no idea. But without further ado, let's get right to it and read. Because I will now fulfill my role as a narrator. Because I'm here to read stories. And sometimes I may not be able to look chat if I'm like reading stories, so I always like maybe like 5 minutes or so, I'll just like click out on YouTube and just check on who's on stream. But yeah. By the way, if you're like on stream, you're like posting like messages or something or what? I don't know. Alright, so without further ado, let's get right. Guys, ready to do this? I'm ready. Alright. Let's I need my water bottle just in case. One more time. Just for a hydration check. Here we go. And let me check on OBS. Are we looking good on OBS? Let me see. Alright, let me see. Can you guys see? Yes, you can. Alright, perfect. Perfect. Alright. Three years have passed since the invasion by the Wanderreich. Many lives were lost. The scars of battles are not yet healed. Those who survived are finally beginning on the path to recovery. One day, Rukia Kuchiki and Renji Abarai announced to everyone that they will have their names entered into a family register. The story about new bonds born from the end of the battle, which were not drawn in the original story. 3 years have passed since the invasion of Serite by the Wanderreich. Normality, there we go. Finally returned to the Soul Society, which was in extreme turmoil. Prologue. Alright, so we're only starting off with a little prologue. We just gotta finish the summary, and let's go. Squad 1 Barracks, Captain's Assembly Hall. Then, I hereby declare this 13 Court Guard Squad's ordinary meeting of squad heads officially open. Commander, prompted by the Lieutenant of Squad 1, Nanao Issei, the captain of the same squad Shunsui Kyoraku, gave a single nod of his head before moving forward. I'm sorry for bothering everyone when you're all so busy. It's only reports on the reconstruction efforts today, so we should be finishing early. He took an extensive look around the assembly hall where the captains and vice captains of each squad were lined up in rows. The recently reconstructed assembly hall looked as good as new and was filled with the aroma of fresh timber. The smell of wood is nice, isn't it? Well then, Nanao-chan, I'll leave it to you. Yes. Now then, the first order of business. Whilst turning over bulky documents, Nanao starts reporting on the situation surrounding the reconstruction efforts. As he listened to her voice, Kyoraku thought about the past 3 years. The most significant damage suffered within the Serite was at the Central First Ward Mord, formerly known as Spiritual Arts, which included the Squad 1 barracks and a great number of the administrative facilities. As a wartime special exception, the lives of the people who evacuated were saved by opening the pure forest of residential towers, the enclave in which the Central 46 personally reside. However, what they saw when they returned to ground level after the war was a whole surface of scorched earth exhausting the very limits of destruction. In the midst of all the storage. I say storage? I meant to say shortage. In the midst of all the shortages of both goods and manpower needed to rebuild structures, and whilst everyone was merely at a loss, it was Naria Amakado, one among the Central 46, who was the first to make advancement towards the reconstruction efforts. Naria became the sage by succeeding the position of her father, who was murdered by Sosuke Aizen. She is still a young girl. She is also the head librarian of the Great Spirit Book Gallery, where all events and information in Soul Society are accumulated under compulsion. She studies things like the human world and the Soul Reaper with a flexible attitude. Every day she searched for a solution, wondering what she could do to change the current state of the old-fashioned Central 46. An opportunity for that arose with the assault on the Central 46 underground compound by the Stern Ritter. Half were killed, and even the ones that remained alive were wounded to varied degrees. Even if the body can heal, the fear from witnessing such atrocities cannot sorry, I had cheeseburgers. Cannot be dispelled. People resigned from their seats one after another. No longer were they able to expect work as a supreme judicial body like the pre-war Central 46. But in the face of those states of affairs, Naria was optimistic that the time for change was now. She scolded the disheartened sages, and in collaboration with Kyoraku, commander of the 13 Court Guard squads, they were able to enact temporary laws in quick succession. This young soul was not afraid to progress forward, and the sages who were inspired by that passion also started to change little by little. Following the war, Naria first and foremost established a law which simplifies the procedure for obtaining a court travel permit. This court travel permit is a written document that must be presented to the gatekeeper of each pure soul gate when entering the Serite from the Rukongai. A court travel permit which originally could not be obtained unless one went through a complicated process that required several weeks was made easily accessible. Only one has to go through a simple procedure at the Special Entry Record Management Office, established in front of every gate. Wait, is this... There we go. Consequently, it became easier for materials to be imported from outside the Serite. It was also made possible to welcome the people of the Rukongai widely as a workforce. In addition, Special Entry Record Management Office registered fingerprints while simultaneously checking spiritual energy, an invitation to the Spiritual Arts Academy. A training institute for Soul Reaper is extended to those who have promising talent. The benefits given to the Soul Society because of this law is unfathomable. With natural resources and manpower all in place, the reconstruction efforts were proceeding rapidly. That concludes my report, and now bows down. Well, Kyoraku says as he clutched both hands together in front of his chest, there's another piece of good news today. Now, please come out and tell us from your own mouths. Prompted by Kyoraku with a nervous expression, they walked out of the line. It was the 6th Squad Vice Captain, Ranji Abarai, and acting captain of the 13th Squad, Rukia Kuchiki. The report. Oh wait, is this supposed to be like chapter 1? The number? I assume it means chapter 1, right? Chapter 1, I'll say. Chapter 1. Report. In order to produce a great number of talented persons who will go on to become soldiers of the 13 Court Guard squads, the Kido Corps and the covert operations, the late Genryusai Shigekuni Yamamoto established within the Serite the Spiritual Arts Academy, a Soul Reaper retraining institute boasting a history of 2,000 years. In one block of that institute, The fourth-year students who had just finished their summer vacations were gathered in a large lecture hall which could feasibly accommodate all graduate students. You should all be aware that in the previous protection of the Soul King Great War, the 13 Court Guard squads lost approximately half its soldier. Glancing over all who were present, the headmaster with a sturdy physique continues to speak. It goes without saying, our Spiritual Arts Academy is a 6-year curriculum. Is that how you pronounce it? However, due to the Soul Reaper Apprentice program established a year before last, after the fourth year summer vacation, you will have belonged as an apprentice to each company of the 13 court squads and acquired on-site experience of Soul Reaper duties. The Soul Reaper Apprentice program is a new system created to maintain the 13 court guard squads. After it lapsed into a grave shortage of troops, yeah, especially in 1000 Year Blood War where we lost a lot of troops. The apprentice units study at the academy in the mornings, while in the afternoons they are split into each squad and actually assist with duties. Prior to the advent of this system, students were assigned to each squad after graduation. In the first year, they will follow around a senior officer as an apprentice and study the work of a Soul Reaper. On the other hand, the structure which allows one to complete the apprenticeship period while still an academy student is this current Soul Reaper Apprentice program. Owing to a lack of manpower everywhere, work is being left undone. I hope we can replenish personnel as soon as possible. On this occasion, student or not, shouldn't matter. Faced with scenes of these sorrowful voices, the program was set up as a temporary measure, only but being able to observe their idols up close and personal increased their motivation and even the lessons became fun. Therefore, it seems the new program is highly praised among the students in question. By the way, guys, okay, it was a heater. Not sure you guys can hear it, but the heater's on. Like I said, it automatically turns on. By the way, guys, for my knowledge, I think this light novel does not have an official translation. What I'm reading right now is actually a fan translation, so it's not official. But, so yeah, just a heads up, guys. For those of you wondering if this novel has an official translation, it does not. Same thing goes with Spirits Are Forever With You. Spirits Are Forever With You also does not have an official translation, but I was able to read it through a fan translation, so shout out to them though. Shout out to the people who translated of the novels that haven't been translated into English yet. So yeah, shout out to them. Where am I? Page 6, there we go. So today, we invited Squad 3 Vice Captain Izuru Kira, who is a graduate of the Academy himself, in order to talk to us about the mental attitude one should have as a Soul Reaper. During that, a burst of excitement was aroused amongst the students. Excuse me. Captains and Vice Captains in Soul Society are equivalent. Is that... wait. Equivalent to first-class celebrities of the human world. Well then, Vice Captain Kira, thank you for your trouble. Encouraged to take the podium by the headmaster, Izuru Kira scanned the lecture hall with a pale visage that lacked vitality. The entrance of an actively serving Vice Captain caused the students' eyes to sparkle. I never had guessed that a dead man would be preaching the Soul Reaper's pride to young people in the future. Wait, was it? Wait, did CFYOW mention Kira? I think it mentioned Kira. Oh yeah, I don't think I ever told you guys, there's also a light novel where it's actually about Kira, of where was he during the 1000 Year Blood War. Maybe we'll get to know what happened to Kira in this, maybe. Casting his eyes down, Izuru heaved a small sigh. After the lecture, Izuru passed into the guest room, seating himself deeply into a sofa. He leaned back and exhaled a heavy breath. It seems the honest optimism in the young people's eyes have greatly fatigued Izuru's spirits. Kira, thank you. I'm sorry for inconveniencing you when you are busy. Headmaster of the Spiritual Arts Academy Isawa Genji gave a broad smile and deposited himself on the sofa that was opposite Izuru and across a low table. It's alright, both my former classmates have accepted the invitation. I can't be the only one to refuse. Last year, the lieutenant of the Squad 6, Renji Abarai, was invited to give Small's lecture, and a year before that, the lieutenant of Squad 5, Hinamori Momo, was invited to do the same. I'm relieved to hear you say that. Genji exhaled a quick breath. Okay, if I do a little paperwork. He pulled out a box stuffed with paper bundles from under the table. Do you usually work here? The chairs in here are a sophist. The desk is also wide. Watching the documents get piled up atop the desk one after the other, Izuru mumbled, "That's not little at all, don't you think?" Seemingly in shock. Much like Izuru and Renji, Genji is a graduate of Academy's class of 2066? Wait, what? In contrast with Izuru, who was assigned to the first class throughout his 6 years. An advanced class comprised of high achievers only, Genji was enrolled in the second class for 6 years. By all rights, these two would appear unlikely to have any points of contact. However, as a result of sharing the same living quarters in the students' dormitories, they became close friends. You were always the type to leave your assignments untouched till the end and then finish it all in one go. Isn't that right? Izuru recollected images of Genji's back hunched over the writing desk until the late hours of the night, whilst uttering complaints at the same time. For your information, this is all today's portion, you know? Genji spoke up in protest, his eyes still lowered on his documents. Huh? This much? Problem if insufficient manpower is the same everywhere. It's the same everywhere, right? Since I am so good at paperwork, even the other teacher's share is now handled by me. I was a member of the 5th Squad after all, under the command of Lieutenant Hinamori, known as the Tiger of Paperwork. Isn't Captain Hirako the one in command? In any case, Hinamori-san has such a nickname? I wasn't aware. By the way, the Dragon of Paperwork is Sosuke Aizen, and the Hawk of Paperwork is me. You don't think I'm going to be second class forever, do you? Yeah, I know all too well that the 5th Squad are proficient at the paperwork. Seeing Genji's chest swell with pride with a humph, a small smile tugged at Izuru's lips. Well, I'm sorry for distracting you from your work. I should get going now. Wait! Genji hurriedly restrains the rising Izuru. I haven't seen you in a long time, so let's talk a little more. With the exception of going to Technological Development Brewery once a month. I'm at the academy the whole time, so I'm starting to talk from the outside world. Hearing that, Izuru's movement suddenly came to a halt. Once a month? To the development department? For what reason? Huh? I didn't tell you? All of a sudden, and without care, Genji rolled up his hakama. Incidentally, both my legs were blown off during the Great War. I have prosthetics now. An artificial leg manufactured with smooth milky white parts peep through his dark blue torso hem. There are also legs that are practically indistinguishable from the real thing, but it's not covered by the compensation of the court guards. Well, these however are just fine since they don't prevent me from going about my daily life. Genji was the third seed of Squad 5. Because he had lost both legs when the Stern Reader invaded and had received artificial ones, Genji became unable to use Hoho Shumpo that allows one to travel long distance in a flash, which can also be regarded as indispensable for a top-ranking Soul Reaper. Feeling that his current self was no longer suitable for a third seat, Genji put forward a request to his captain, Shinji Hirako, stating that he would like for his seat to be lowered, whereupon it was suggested that he should become the head of the Spiritual Arts Academy instead. I was pretty confident in my ho-ho, so my legs being like this came as a shock. But, since starting this job, I've been enjoying myself despite being insanely busy every day. I was never the type to cut mustard in the first place, so I totally understand what sort of place the students can fall into. Or when they are feeling discouraged, I intended to play the sharp and enable their seat in front of Captain Hirako, and yet he was able to see through me, I guess, see my true essence. Hirako's words ring in his ear as he recalled it. Headmaster, I think that's fitting, don't you? You are able to put yourself in other people's shoes. Understanding that this proposal made on the basis of recognizing his attributes, Genji accepted with gratitude. That's the reason why I don't get bothered by my legs anymore. Slapping his knee, Genji grinned. Indeed, the cheerfulness of his is likely to aid many bewildered youngsters. Izuru thought. I see. Must have been very difficult, Isawa. No, not at all. The only one I don't want to be told that by is you, Kira. Is there any guy alive who has gone through more hardship than you? I guess you have a point. I heard that you were killed in action. Information came in saying that you had apparently returned to the war front still in dead condition. I was in a state of utter confusion. In the last Great War, Izuru died through the fatal injury where 30% of his body was lost. The fact he was still able to freely maneuver himself like this is due to the experimental body remodeling surgery performed on Izuru's corpse after the captain of Squad 12 Mayuri Kurosuchi recovered it from the battlefield. The surgical procedure, which was performed without the consent of the man in question, was a brilliant success, and Izuru was able to live while still in a dead condition. I read Captain Kurosuchi's research paper on the body remodeling experiment in the returning issue of the Serite Communication, and I finally understood. So that's how it was, I said to myself. Serite Communication is an informational magazine edited and published by the Ninth Squad. Its publication system was out of order and had to be suspended for a whole year after the war. In the first reissue, a list of vast number of war dead in the state of progress regarding reconstruction makes an appearance. Mayuri Kurosuchi's research paper is attached as an extra file at the end of the magazine. Oh my god, dude, I'm gonna need some sunglasses, bro. This is like bright as heck. I think the room is getting dark. Let me turn my room on real quick, because it's actually getting dark. And the screen's getting brighter. There we go. The successful surgical procedure of a departed soul on Vice Captain Izuru Kira. Relief, even though he lost his life. The secrets of the surgical procedure of a departed soul is now made widely public. Due to the contents of the report under the sensational headline, Izuru becoming the subject of the demonic experiments of the president of the Technological Development Department was well known within Serite. Doesn't matter whether you're still alive, not alive. Well anyway, I'm just happy I got to see you again. Thank you. A dense spiritual Matarenki Soul Reaper communication device buzzed in the mumbly Kira's breast pocket, and my heater automatically turns off. Pressed on by Genji, who said, "Check it, it might be urgent business, right?" Izuru scanned his eyes over the electronic correspondence being lit up by the word's new message. The sender was Renji Abarai. "It's from Abarai-kun. Can we get her this evening?" he says. Hinamori Momo's name is also in the address field. Is Hinamori-san also invited? What about you? When he replied in the correspondence with a simple okay, and then lifted his face up, Genji smiled broadly and placed his hand on the piled up documents. Don't you see this, Lieutenant Kira? I will give your regards to everyone, Headmaster. With that said, Izuru also returns a smile. As the two were talking about the situation, a woman with black hair flew in from outside an open window. Her shiny ponytail swayed, matching the movements of her head. Having fun? With both hands at her hips, she grinned. It was Shinhoin Yoruichi. Thank you for your hard work today, Shinhoin-sensei. It's been a while, Shinhoin-san. The two tried to stand up but were halted by her hand. With a thump, Yoruichi lowered her back somewhere to the side of Izuru. Kira, this is the first I'm seeing you in a half year, correct? In any case, are you getting along well with Otoribashi? Captain of the squad, Roshiro Otoribashi, has a deep understanding of music, not only for appreciating musical composition while also enjoying the act of playing musical instruments as a hobby. When Yoruichi served as the head of the Shihoin family, Rohuro, is that how you pronounce it? If I pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry. Was sometimes commissioned the Gagaku band of the Shihoin family to repair and tune musical instruments he had brought back from the human world. The relationship that existed between these two is an old friendship. Once or twice a year, Yoruichi will call upon the offices, third squad bearing gifts from the human world. Gagaku is a type of classical. Oh, I didn't know. On these occasions, they would exchange a few words, and as a result, she was also acquainted with Izuru. Well, not too bad, I guess. I even grew accustomed to the musical performances in the middle of duties. You sure it's okay to be accustomed to that? Izuru shrugged his shoulders at Genji's questions. At the third squad, many musical instruments are placed side by side, not only in Captain's room, but also in the squad's offices. Depending on Roturo's mood, the musical performances can start, even in the middle of professional duties, with little regard for others. At first, it was Izuru who criticized it. However, after the musical performances, he noticed that his work efficiency had improved remarkably. Since then, Izuru has come to tolerate it. You turn a blind eye to it. Why not just confiscate the instrument from that guy? Leave nothing whatsoever behind. It's never going to be nothing whatsoever, you know. With a nonchalant air, Yoruichi disregards Genji's reproving gaze. Izuru smiled inwardly, thinking, these two seem to be doing well too. By the way, how are you finding the work of a lecturer, Shihoin-sensei? Huh, it's just teasing youngsters anyway. After casting a momentary glare at Izuru, Yoruichi transferred a large scrap of paper from the palm of her hand to Genji. Persons who have their names here may already enlisted in due form. Excuse me. Glancing over the names that have been written down, Genji eagerly nodded his agreement with a yes, yes, I see. What's up with the kids that have these circles fitted to them? Oh, let those guys into the ninth squad. Their aptitude for Hakuda is limited, but they are intelligent and they have a keen interest for writing. Understood. Genji produced a notebook from his pocket and made a note of Yoruichi's words. Placed a scrap of piece of paper between it before closing it shut. I was surprised. You are taking your role as sensei seriously, aren't you? With a twitch, Yoruichi lifted one eyebrow at Izuru's manner of speaking. Did you make fun of me just now? Such a thing would be absurd. It's just that since I heard my captain that Shihoin-san wore a look that seems as if he were troubled down deep down at the time she accepted the role. It feels troublesome deep down even now. Shihoin-sensei, could you please be careful not to say that in front of the students? You know, things like that. Watching Genji with an expression that looks as if she wanted to say, I know, Yoruichi folded her arms and looked up to the ceiling. Like I said, since I'm genius and all, I don't know what teaching methods to use towards average people. I was told to either undertake the responsibilities of guest lecturer once every half a moon, or restore Squad A by becoming its captain. Naturally, I decided that I probably had no choice but to take up responsibilities in this place. If she refused to restore the squad, then she would have to deliver a lecture on Hakuda and Hoho to 5th and 6th year students every other week. That was the proposal handed down to Yoruichi from Commander Kyoraku. You probably can't afford to leave people as talented as Shihoin-san idle after all. After all, orders have been sent down to all squads. Each squad elects at least one member for Academy Lecturer. Because the original tutors passed away in the great numbers during the protection of the Soul King Great War, isn't that so? At the time of the Great War, all students were evacuated to their dormitories. Dormitories? Due to the vast amounts of spiritual pressures that was accumulating, the Wanderreich foot soldiers known as Soldats focused their attacks on the dormitories, a defensive battle in which the lecturers put up a do-or-die spirit began to unfold before the eyes of the students. Each and every lecturer was skilled with the experience of a seated member. However, it was difficult to overthrow numerical advantage, and one after another, they failed. Under the desperate circumstances, a Soul Reaper donning a mask came into sight, running through dark clouds. Here comes the superhero! It was Mashiro Kuna, the super vice captain of Squad 9. She executed a brisk pose atop a soldat who was being trampled underfoot. When departing for the battlefront in order to launch a counterattack on the stern reader, Captain of the 9th Squad Kensei Mugurama did not allow Mashiro's attendance. No way! It's not fair if you're only taking Shuhei. Not fair, not fair, not fair, not fair! Naturally, Mashiro tumbled around on the ground and put up a resistance. Under normal circumstances, the scene would be filled with loud rebuttal telling her to shut up. However, this time, Kensei knelt, leveled his line of sight with Mashiro, and spoke. Go to the Spiritual Arts Academy. Mashiro, go and protect the future of Soul Reaper. He grabbed her left arm to help her up. A lieutenant badge handmade by Mashiro herself was fitted there. I guess they're not a mere lieutenant, huh? With a supportive push at her back, Mashiro leaps into the evening sky without turning to look back. Her Super 9 engraved stamp caught the last light just before sunset and glimmered red. Although the students were protected by the actions of a hollified Mashiro, the number of lecturers diminished to less than a third of the original. The training of Soul Reaper is urgent business now. It was no exaggeration to say that refilling lecturers is a matter of utmost importance. Protection of the Soul King Great War, huh? What a nauseating name, don't you think? Yoruichi spat out her name in disdain. Izuru was also of the same opinion. It cannot be helped. If you tell the truth, you won't be able to avoid confusion and disorder. After Ichigo Kurosaki had triumphed over Yuhabaha, his remains were transported to the Soul King Palace. At the hands of Squad Zero soldiers, hundreds of binding seals were placed around the corpse, which still contained a vast amount of spiritual energy even after death. By storing it as a new linchpin in the Soul King Greater Palace area, the world was spared from collapse. The demise of the Soul King, as well as the fact that it is a mastermind of the Great War who keeps the world tethered now, are both kept secret. The series of incursions by the Wanderreich was assigned the name Protection of the Soul King Great War. The Soul King Palace was safeguarded, and the Soul King was not assassinated. That's what the students are being taught. I wonder if there were things that were falsified in this way within the history that we study too. With accountants that appeared to have mixed feelings, Genji shook his head a little. His story shone at the convenience of the hand that's spinning it. History is like that. The eyes of Yoruichi, who had muttered that, held a slight trace of anguish, hitting upon the fact that she is a person who was once driven out of the Soul Society, which considered her a traitor. The other two fell silent. Don't all go making that depressed face now. I'm not at all. A dissatisfied Yoruichi's words were interrupted by a knocking sound at the door. Headmaster, sir, I've been instructed to bring back the completed paperwork. A voice which appeared to belong to a male student could be heard through the door. I'll take it myself, so don't worry about it. I better get going soon. The matter of formal enlistment must also be discussed. Excusing himself from the pair, Genji tucked his proceeds documents underarm and exited the room, waiting for the sound of his footsteps to fade away. Yoruichi turns her face in Izuru's directions. Just the two of us then, huh? Not noticing the mischievous smile in her eyes, Izuru shuddered. A frog being flared at by a snake? No. In this case, my throat. Perhaps it's a mouse being glared at by the cat? Toying with the idea, Yoruichi leaned in closer without a moment's hesitation. In Japan, a frog being glared at by a snake is an idiomatic phrase that is essentially the equivalent of an English expression, a deer in the headlights, used to describe a person paralyzed to spot out fear or surprise. Squeal. Matching her advance, he retreated backwards, at which point his back hit the armrest of the sofa. A dead end. According to what I've heard, you apparently have a huge hole opened up on your body, correct? What's all this all of a sudden? What's this all of a sudden? Izuru instinctively placed his hand over the right side of his chest. As a result of the cavity, that move only caused his hands to sink into his soul ropes. Immediately following his surgical procedure, he was instructed to dissipate the heat of the body without covering the hole. Consequently, he had to live in a state of leaving one shoulder exposed. However, by way of an upgrade after the war, the problem of heat dissipation was resolved, and it became unnecessary to expose the hole. Izuru was thus able to wear his soul robes fully again as before. Didn't Kurasuichi tell you? Nemri is a masterpiece of artificial soul technology. Kira is a masterpiece of body remodeling technology. Isn't that right? Now then, let me take a little look at that hole. Wow! I'd rather you didn't. Don't be so scared. I just want to see what's going on with the cross section. It's nothing to fret about. Come on, quickly. Without any regard for the resistance, Izuru was putting up Yoruichi English. Without any regard for the resistance Izuru was putting up, Yoruichi caught his right sleeve and tugged with a great vigor. Please stop doing that. Just when he was struggling to remove the hands secure at his collar, an open door entered his vision. Kira, these guys want to ask you some questions about... Genji, who had returned accompanied by two female students, rose at the sight of the pair. Izuru's soul robes was loose in dishevel, Yoruichi half straddling him. Genji shut the door immediately. Sorry, Kira. Don't apologize. This is not what it looks like. Izuru pushed past Yoruichi and darted out of the room. From the hallways, the voices of two people could be heard shouting, "I'm sorry," and "You got it wrong." Curious how it ends up like this from playing hard to get. Without even a hint of shame, Yoruichi left through the window in the same fashion as when she arrives. The next day, rumors of a forbidden relationship between Shihuin Sensei and Lieutenant Kira went around the academy. Oh no. For some time after that, it is said that every time Izuru would come face to face with Suifeng, the captain of Squad 2 who adored and respects Yoruichi, she would glare at him to the point where it seemed she was dead. Oh, poor Kira. Poor Kira. He cannot catch a break. First, he has a hole in his chest. Well, he actually has a hole in his body. Now, there's rumors going on. Whoops. How long have I been streaming? Ooh, almost an hour. Dang. There we go. Sorry, I had to clear my ear. Second. Alright. Report 2. Central First War Spiritual Arts Library. Nanao Issei devoted a long period of her days off to reading. Is my microphone working? Let me double check. See my microphones? Alright, my microphone's... Wait, when is my first anniversary? I got it checked. Whoops. In the library, which had just been reconstructed, there is no trace of the former building she would usually be accustomed to passing through. A slight feeling of unease came over her. Even so, while turning over the pages engulfed in the smell of a paper book by book, she became unconcerned about anything other than her contents. She took a new book in hand. It was her favorite book, one she had read many times over. When she turned over the front cover, an emblem had been stamped there, indicating that it was a book belonging to the library of Squad A. This book, I'm the one who stamped it. Next to the collection emblem, the name of the person in charge is filled as Nanao Issei. It was her clumsy writing, still retaining its childlike nature. A mid-sized library was erected in the residential area of every 13 court guard squads respectively. Although the damage caused by the Great War varied in the magnitude, even library was in a state of closure, with the damaged section left as is because reconstruction advanced from places that were indispensable to daily life. When she set out to inspect the reconstruction sites, Nanao was distressed by the state of affairs and made an appeal to the commander, Junsui Kyoraku, saying, "Even if it's only the spiritual arts library, can they not preferentially restored? Can they not be preferentially restored?" The construction work began immediately. The books that had overcome the war damage were gathered from each library and stored on brand new bookshelves. It was not burnt. That's a relief. Nanao, who had joined the 8th Squad at a young age, was entrusted with organizing the book collection belonging to Squad 8 immediately after her enlistment. Given that she was an unrivaled book lover, Lisa Yadomaru, who was serving as vice captain around that time, brought up all the books she could get her hands on using her squad's expenses under the pretense that it was for expanding the library's book collection. But because the vice captain would stuff the books she had finished reading into books and then throw them to storage room, the storage cabinets of Squad 8's library were always a disorderly place. Having heard of a rumor that among the students who were to graduate from the Spiritual Arts Academy this year, apparently there exists an honorary member of the Spiritual Arts Library, a title given to those who have checked down the more than 1,000 books over the course of the years. Lisa advised Kyoraku that this student known as Nanao Issei, who had expressed a desire to be assigned to the Kido Corps, is a talented individual who needs to be summoned to Squad 8 instead. Kyoraku stood motionless for a split second as if he were stunned. However, a smile soon broke out on his face. Kyoraku hoisted up and revealed the procedural documents concerning Nanao's enlistment to Lisa, which he had filled in just now, saying, "Great minds think alike, huh?" Regarding that coincidence, Lisa didn't hold much doubt, of course. Kyoraku also caught on a disastrous scene of Squad 8 library, and it was clear to everyone that Nanao was the most suitable choice of candidate for its betterment. If the same honorary member rumor that Lisa had heard about reaches ears, then Kyoraku moving to acquire Nanao seems only a natural course of events. At the time, Lisa had no way of knowing about his ulterior motives relating to Shinken Hakyoken within that decision. In this way, Nanao was assigned to Squad 8 and sent into the Squad 8 library, which had lost its order. How nostalgic. She would take out a book from the stack of books. Wait, books? I meant to say boxes. In the stacks of boxes, briefly examine its contents. Before stamping the collection emblem, information on the book is entered into the library's computer terminal. The books are then arranged in accordance with the classification system. It was a very enjoyable occupation for Nanao, who loved books. He also became close with Lisa, who would occasionally turn up at the storage room, armed with new book collection. On the first day of every month after work, the pair would come to the office, bringing along books they recommend for the other. A reading circle consisting of 2 people only was held. I need to wash my hands real quick, hold on. Go. Even on the night Lisa had fallen victim to the holification experiment due to Sosuke Aizen, Nanao called on the squad barracks clutching her books. However, from that day onwards, no reading circles have been held. This book, it was on Lisa-chan's desk. It was probably prepared for the reading circle. For you. Several days after Lisa's disappearances, Kyoraku showed up at the library to find Nanao. He handed over a single book. It was a textbook on advanced Kido that only official C members could read. Nanao still vividly remembered Kyoraku's back as he was leaving, whispering to her in a lowered voice, telling her to read it in secret. Without that book, I suppose it would have been possible to become the likes of Vice Captain, right? She was troubled by her limited aptitude for Zanjutsu. For her sake, it was Lisa who showed her the path forward. Nanao, who by nature was proficient in Kido, took this as a cue to abandon the concept of mastering Zankensoki in a well-balanced manner, 4 basic Soul Reaper techniques, in order to become a more outstanding user of Kido than anyone else. She continued to refine her skills by relying on his textbooks. The Kido textbook that had become worn out is Nanao's treasure even now. It was her support. Hello? Nanao-san? Her name was called in a small voice, pulling her out of memories. When she turned around, Hinamori Momo was smiling at her. Are you off duty? She took a seat opposite Nanao as she inquired. Yes, that's right. Hinamori-san, isn't it still work hours for you? She glanced at the clock mounted on a nearby pillar. There were still around 2 hours remaining until work hours were over. By order of Captain Hiraka, I have already finished work for today. He always scolded me, saying, How can a young girl do nothing but work? Play hooky once in a while, don't you? Come on, come now. He's being kind. You may say that, Nanao-san, but wouldn't you be vexed if a commander appeared out of nowhere to scold you when you are trying to get some work done on a day you are off duty? Both Captain Hirako and the commander, don't you think they try to give us too much time off? That's true. I'm glad that I'm able to read my books at ease in this way. But the thing I wanted to understand is that if I have allocated this time to work, then I also get a bit of a guilty conscience. Absolutely. At the concern of their superiors, the two heave a sigh at the same time. Don't you guys like your jobs way too much? From behind the tall bookcase, Lisa Yadamaru suddenly made an appearance. Lisa-san, sensing that her voice was too loud, Hinamori swiftly covered her mouth. Lisa subdued the... Sorry, I thought I heard my phone notification went off. Lisa subdued the flushed Hinamori, saying, Relax, it's only us now. She then sat next to Nanao. Even now, you are so fond of it. Reading that is. Looking towards the pile up of books on the desk, Lisa spoke in a murmur, with an expression... Sorry, I skip ahead. Spoke in a murmur, with a start. Nanao gazed at the side of her face. She was a person of a scarce facial expression. However, sentimentality revealed itself within her eyes. All the emotions she had buried in her heart until now gradually rose to the surface, and now firmly stifled those feelings. Yadamaru-san, I've always wanted to thank you. There's no need for that sort of thing. Hey look, Hinamori got startled because Nanao suddenly got all fired up. Huh? Not at all. Please don't fuss over me. I'll go read a book in some corner for you, so... Waving both hands in front of her face, Hinamori eagerly sprang to her feet. Hinamori, sit down. Yes. Unable to defy Lisa's piercing line of sight, Hinamori took a seat right away. Looking at Nanao, who seemed somewhat awkward and quivering Hinamori, Lisa released a small sigh. I don't know what Nanao is thanking me for, but whatever I have done for you, it is only a trivial thing to your life. It was nothing more than a cue for you at most. You need to become a vice captain. You became a vice captain as a result of your own efforts, right? That's why I don't need something like a gratitude. Got it? Yadamaru-san. Answer. Understood. Amidst this conversational exchange, Nanao felt a sense of nostalgia that made her want to cry. Ah, that's right. Vice Captain Yadamaru always did find it difficult to deal with gratitude. Whenever Nanao expressed words of gratitude or apology, Lisa always furrowed her brows and made a face that seemed uncomfortable. In order not to offend her esteemed vice captain, in the moment she wanted to convey gratitude, it was done so without words. She remembers that she would simply bow her head. Looking directly at Lisa, Nanao quietly bowed. When she lifted her face up, Lisa was watching her intently with eyes that looked as if they wanted to say, Finally remember? What? Snit? Oh no, what happened? When the pair turned their faces towards the voices coming from the opposite direction, They were confused with a Hinamori who was shedding tears. Huh? What's the matter, Hinamori-san? In a panic, Nanao rushes over to Hinamori's side, handing over a handkerchief. Nanao rubs her back. I'm sorry. Somehow, you can feel the weight of time. When I think about all those things that happened between you two, isn't your empathy a little too intense? Before an amazed Lisa, Nanao continues to console Hinamori. Sure enough, does being poor as Zanjutsu incapacitates you as a court guard's warrior? Lisa recalls those young and tender eyes, tearing up as they looked up to her to the point they would spill any moment now. On that night, it seems the Kido textbook prepared for Nanao had successfully crossed over into her hands. That little Nanao Issei is now the vice captain of Squad 1? Lisa smiled with a touch of self-depreciation, wondering, has 100 years really passed by already? Waiting for Hinamori to stop sobbing, Lisa spread this year's edition of the register containing all seated officers before the other two. I need both of you to cooperate for a moment. The names and photographs of each squad's officers from captain to 20th seat is printed on the register. Lisa-san, is this for? It will soon be half a year since I became a captain of the 8th squad. However, I am constantly being told to nominate a lieutenant. Ever since Kyoraku and Nanao transferred to Squad 1, Nanao has been executing the duties of both captain and vice captain of Squad A. 6 months ago, Lisa was finally inaugurated as the Squad 8's new captain. She happily took over the duties of a captain. However, she stubbornly refused to handle tasks on behalf of an absent vice captain. As a result, Squad 1's Nanao was handling that share even now. It will be a great help for me too if I can be released from acting as a substitute soon. It is not impossible for Squad 1 to undertake the duties of Squad 8 because they have another excellent lieutenant in addition to Nanao's known. Nanao, known as Genshiro Okikiba. Nevertheless, if that share of time can be invested in other work, then this consideration is also not irrational. Now that reconstruction is in full swing, one can never have too much time. If I tell the commander you two lieutenants here, If I tell the commander you have two lieutenants here, so give me the now. It's absolutely impossible, he'll say. It's absolutely impossible, he'll say. Feeling her cheeks suddenly getting warmer, and now cleared her throat, hoping to regain her composure. Initially, it was Squad 4 3rd Seat Yasuchika Iemura-san who was supposed to be appointed to Vice Captain of Squad A. With that end in view, Iemura-san's membership has already been pulled from Squad 4. During that time, it was the 7th seat of the same squad, Hanataro Yamada, who had been prompted to 3rd seat, which Iemura had departed from. However, Iba-san, who took office as the captain of Squad 7 after the Great War, informed me that Iemura wants to take over as lieutenant under me. Consequently, the list of candidates for Squad 8 lieutenant has ended up a blank sheet of paper. The captain of each squad is entitled to nominate their own candidates from lieutenant to 9th seat. This held the potency to overrule orders containing appointed names handed from Central 46. Since Iemura's Squad A transfer was the decision of Central 46, Tetsuya Zaimon Iba's nomination rights was given priority. I had my eye on Archon only for him to be snatched away by Mayuri. In this 3rd seat of mine, in Joiji, I'm not going to move him up either. As she fiddled around with the tip of her braid using the fingers on her left hand, she used her right to point him out on the register. Even though half a year had passed since she took up her new post, Lisa had yet to memorize his name. It's clear there is an absence of interest in 3rd C Tatsufusa and Joji. 3rd C and Joji won't do? At Hinamori's inquiry, Lisa shook her head from side to side, confirming he was no good. Take a good look. This guy's face seemed like that of a small fry, don't you think? Definitely not the look of a vice captain. Uh-huh, uh-huh. In response to Lisa's harsh manner of speaking, Nanao and Hinamori could do nothing more than laugh. Therefore, I want to ask the two of you, on this occasion, it doesn't matter if they are lower seats, are there any individuals who will let me skip duties, is competent at their work, and won't nag me either? Lisa spoke whilst tapping her finger on the register of all seated members, with the premise of, please feel free to skip work from time to time. Hinamori indicated to third seat Hanataro Yamada of Squad 4. How about Hanataro-kun? He's a hard worker, and despite his feral disposition, he's an exceedingly talented individual. The Yamada in Squad 4, you say? Is he perhaps related to Senyosuke? Senyosuke-san? At the familiar... Oh my goodness, I gotta sneeze, hold on. Sorry. Wait. Why is my mouth not moving? What the heck? There we go. Alright, all better now. My mouth stopped moving. At the unfamiliar name, Hinamori tilts her head. It's a name that brings back a lot of memories. Vice Captain Yamada Senyosuke, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he Hanataro-san's older brother? Huh? Hanataro-kun's older brother, you say? And he was a vice captain? In response to a surprised Hinamori, the noun gave a firm nod of her saying, that's right. At the time, Yadomaru-san was serving as a vice captain of Squad A. He's the person who assumed position of Squad's 4 vice captain. Senyosuke-san retired in the form of being replaced by Isane Kotetsu-san when she was promoted to vice captain. If he is the younger brother of Senyosuke, then he surely be capable. However, Lisa fixed her eyes unblinkably on the portrait with the register. A young man whose mouth hung partially open, eyebrows in the shape of the character for 8, was captured on the photograph with an awkward smile. Translator note, the kanji for 8 used in Japanese known as hachi. His eyebrow looks like this. Really? He's got a depressing face that looks as if he dropped dead at the slightest poke. This kid also doesn't feel like Vice Captain material. It's still a matter of appearances, huh? When Nanao gave a strange smile, Hinamori also gazed intently at the register. He puzzled over the issue with a hum. How about this Yumichika Ayasagawa individual? Although he looks like a narcissist, he seems up to the job. Lisa pointed to the third seat of Squad 11. The two who were questioning glanced at each other and released a small sigh at the same time. Yumichika-san is certainly a very outstanding person, but given that he has rejected all transfers to other squads thus far, I fear it's likely that he'll decline. Upon hearing the replies of the other two, Lisa rested her chin in her hand with a sigh. In the end, nothing but strangers to me as always, huh? As she took an extensive view over the portrait photographs of all seated members, Lisa is made to realize that she is now in the position of newcomer. When it comes to those who had been in the field for more than 100 years, I would assume they had already ascended to the appropriate seats. But after the war, a considerable numbers of seated members ended up being replaced. The more superior the seated members officer, the more they did on the battlefront lies. Many had lost their lives as a result. However, in the minds of the people they had left behind, responsibility and pride towards earning a seated position was seared into their conscience with a burning passion. It is perhaps for this reason that a solid resoluteness dwells within the eyes of a newly appointed seated member. If Nanao had grown accustomed to the work of the first squad, I wonder if you could give me Okikiba-san? Lisa reclined her back against the chair, speaking while swaying her crossed legs to and fro. I'm not so sure about that. As his own insistence, Okikiba-san is the person who is needed at Squad 1. After all, even the monthly tea ceremonies are now hosted by Okikiba-san. Prior to his death, Genryosai Shingekuni Yamamoto will gather the troops once a month and treat them to matcha, which he had prepared himself. After his passing, the tea ceremonies were suspended as a result of the damage to the tea room facing the garden. However, in accordance with the reconstruction of both the squad barracks and the tea room, the tea ceremonies resumed through the efforts of Okikiba. Squad 1 tea ceremonies have resumed? I had no idea. Upon her inauguration as a vice captain, only once did Hinamori participate in the monthly tea ceremony accompanied by Aizen. Although Hinamori was solely engrossed in nervousness from being in front of the commander and couldn't remember the taste of his matcha at all, she still vividly recalls only the form of Genryusai, who only watched her through narrowed eyes. Okikiba-san has mentioned that he is not yet at a stage where he can entertain members of other squads, so he requests their patience until the tea ceremonies are made public. Moreover, at present, I am learning about kocha. At the tea ceremonies, I think it would be nice if we could serve not only matcha, but kocha too. I see. For Sasakibi-san, Lisa murmured a few words, and now revealed a somber smile and gave a nod of her head. After work, I read material Vice Captain Sasakibi left behind for us. The more I learned, the more I realized how deep the world of kocha really is. I now understand why he was so enthusiastic about it, too. Tojiro Tadaoki Sasakibi, the vice captain of Squad 1 who passed away in the last Great War, ardently admired kocha, was seen from his yearning of Great Britain. Although the cultivation of tea leaves didn't go exactly as planned, his profound knowledge towards kocha is deeper than any other in Seoul society. His unique kocha blend was so exquisite that even Genryusai, who disliked Western things, admitted that it was delicious. If the next generations are this considerate, then both Ji-san and Sasakibi-san would surely be able to rest in peace. From the shadows of the bookshelf Lisa had been lurking behind not long ago, it was Shinji Hirako who made a leisurely appearances this time. Captain Hirako? What in the world? How long have you been there? While Sanao and Hinamori fell off their chairs in surprise, Lisa alone was unfazed. I was here since the discussions around the tea parties. Obviously, I noticed you. If you notice us, then please say something. Please come and call out to us with your voice immediately, Captain. You seem upset, Momo. Oh my, though it seems I broke into a girls' meeting, I was wondering whether or not it was okay for me to say something. You're only here to eavesdrop, pervert, Lisa coldly stated. You can't say that about me only, Hirako refuted. That's true, but just when you thought what kind of things 3 women gathered might talk about. That's true, but just when you thought about... oh my goodness. Sorry. Just when you thought what kind of things 3 gathered women might talk about, Genryusai, Okikiba, and Sasakibi, we were merely talking about old guys, were we not? One love story. Please do not get upset because of your own arbitrary expectations. Nanao sighed whilst pressing her temple. The toll of a bell coming from outside could be heard, indicating the end of work shifts. It's no good at such time like this. I'll be back soon. Nanao swiftly returned her books to the bookshelf, moving in the front of the doorway in the same manner. Hinamori-san, Yadamaru-san, thank you for today. Let's talk again. The pair smiled sweetly. Yeah, let's talk again. Hinamori waved her arm with a smiling face. Lisa, in silence, lifted up her arm a little. And then, Captain Hirako, from now on, will you please stop secretly snooping around here? In the end, she drove the point home and now left the library. Hirako gave a strained laugh whilst leaning against the wall by the window. That little Nanao-chan has grown up splendidly. Since the libraries that are constructed on the residential block of each squad is operated under the management of that particular squad, there are many books. For example, on the healing arts in the 4th Squad's library, and in the 6th Squad's library, there are many books on the noble aristocratic history and etiquette. It tends to be the product of a truest reflection of Squad's own style. The 5th Squad's library, not far from Hirako's residence, boasts the 13 Port Guard squads. That's book collection quantity due to the most of them being noteworthy academic donated by Sosuke Aizen. Hirako had no desire for those. Conversely, the 8th Squad's library had many multi-genre books purchased by Lisa, who brought whatever took her fancy. Hirako, who also passed by frequently, saw a consequent change in the young Nanao. After the end of work hours, on their way back from work, the troops enter the library and begin to flip through books. The troops from all squads gather at Spiritual Arts Library, since this is the only library that's still open. After briefly bowing to the 3 people sitting in the seats close to the entrance, everyone headed inside. It's the first time since the reconstruction that I was ordered to come here. It's a great success. Yeah, since the books have been gathered side by side from each squad, you don't need to visit several places here and there. And also, reading various genre of books is popular. Captain, were you also looking for something? No, I was looking for Lisa. Lisa, who was folding up the official seat members register, raised her head and said, "Me?" Hirako pulled out a mail order catalog of Sarite Communication from the sleeve of his captain's cloak. He opened up and folded the corner of a page. It was a page of expensive items handled by the YDM book sales. After Aizen's rebellion, Lisa earned a great deal of profit from a Soul Reaper client by ordering books and CDs on sale in the human world and then delivering secretly to the buyers, thus developing YDM book sales. In the light of the expansion of the business after Great War, she accepted employment as a captain on the condition that she be permitted to use the 8th Squad Senkaimon for the transport of goods. By paying advertisement expenses to the 9th Squad and obtaining merchandise page in the monthly mail order catalog, the popularity of YDM book sales rose instantly and business was on an upward trajectory. I need to ask a favor for you. This Modern Hairstyles Encyclopedia 5-volume set, reduce the price a little more. Am I not always buying your things in the magazine? Huh? In some way or another, get me a special customer discount. Impossible. Everyone buys it as an established list price. Both of you, please lower your voice a little more. Even though Hinamori chided them in a low voice, they continued to talk loudly. That's cruel. I can't use the squad's expenses to buy books because my library is not restored yet. In that case, until it's a good time to rebuild your library then, at that time, I will begin to write a receipt for you at the 5th Squad's building without fail. However, by that time, it may already be sold out. Captain, Hinamori placed her hand on Hirako's shoulder. What is it, Momo? Momo? Corner of her mouth were rising, but her eyes did not smile at all. She glared at Hirako with frightening eyes that pressed down like a dark... Oh, wait, what? Please buy your personal preferences in books with your own wages. Am I right? And then, Lisa-san. With a whoosh, she turned her head. Those eyes captured Lisa. Lisa did not divert her eyes. She gulped and swallowed her own saliva. Not limited to just my squad, please do not issue fraudulent receipts, am I right? Watching as Lisa nodded at high speed. Nod. Hinamori exhaled breath. If you're able to understand then that is good, she laughed. She went back to her usual soft smile. Well then, I will also go now. Today I have a meeting with Abarai-kun and Kira-kun. Hinamori bowed her head and excused herself before leaving. As soon as the door closed, the 2 people burst out chatting. Huh? Just a minute. What? That made my heart be extremely hard, but a demon was here. Her eyes went dark. How can I return to everyday life after something like that? I don't want to go against Hinamori. This will forever be carved into both of their hearts as the Hinamori incident. Oh my gosh. Not what I expected. Holy crap, Hinamori. Okay, now I can. Oh, it would be cool if this get adapted into. I could see this game adapted into an OVA. Maybe an OVA episode. Maybe it could be a movie. Who knows? Just for this scene alone. Chapter 3 West Rukongai First Districts Junrinan. The 10th Squad's captain Toshiro Hitsugaya used his break to visit his grandmother's residence. The pair were snacking on Amanato bit by bit and having a chat. For Hitsugaya, who sets off hurriedly every day, time passes by peacefully, and it was above all a healing experience. Daylight began to fade into darkness, and at the end, the end of work shift's bell can be heard coming from the Serite. Excuse me. Hitsugaya, who was laying on the tatami mats, lifted himself up and stretched out widely. I'll go now, Grandma. I'll come again. He tied to the cords of his sandals on the concrete floor. Come back any time. Grandma will buy Amanato again. That's okay. You don't need to. I'll buy them when I return. Is that so? Thank you, Toshiro. Yup. Well then, I'm off to see you next. I'm off to see you next time. Well then, I'm off. See you next time. Lightly waving his hands to his grandmother, who came to see him off, Hitsugaya walked into the midst of the sunset. He went down the path along the outside of the Seirei Heki. When the Hakutomon became visible, his legs suddenly stopped. Flash, clang, shwo, thud, ting, ping, boom. Ugiya, damn, I have no choice. You're making me do this. I will not allow that. Sogyo, you rascal! I'll get you for this. From Backstreet Alley, the voices of a young boy and a young man playing pretend can be heard. That voice. Somewhere. There was something familiar about the voice of the man playing the role of the villain. Ha! Ganju-ni-chan is really good at acting, huh? I wonder if it's because Kukaku-sama is always being angry? Yeah, well, I'll see you again, Ganju-ni-chan. Alright, take care. The young boy's footsteps faded away. The man who was playing the bad guy noticed Hitsugaya on the spot where he had turned corner of the private residence with a whoa. He was taken back. You're Squad's 10. I'm Toshiro Hitsugaya. You are Ganju Shiba, was it? Even though it's practically our first meeting, my full name came out so well? He doesn't remember ever talking with Hitsugaya face to face. In the photographs published in the Serite communication, the figure itself is familiar, but he's only seen the real things a few times. In addition to that, it was to the extent of crossing him in the short instance, or having seen a figure no larger than a child from afar. I'm quite famous amongst the Soul Reaper? Huh? No way. Is that why this guy came to meet me too? Ganju fantasized being the imaginary leader of Soul Reaper, giving instructions to Hitsugaya. Younger brother of Kai and Shiba? Why did he select to such superior talent to Soul Reaper? Captain Hitsugaya, please go at once. While grinning and rubbing his chin from his partly open mouth, his voice spilled out, I mean, no way. I will not become a Soul Reaper. He did not stop his voice. What's gotten into you? Hitsugaya inquired, throwing Ganju off balance. He shook his head, if nothing else. I remember you as someone from the Shiba family. When that child called out your name just now? Oh, that's why. His fantasy rapidly disappeared. His shoulder dropped a little. What you just saw, we were playing Sogyo. He chided Hitsugaya, who was spying on them. Playing Sogyo? Even though you're a Soul Reaper, you don't know Sogyo no Okotowari? It's Ukitake-san's masterpiece. Ganju then unexpectedly spoke from the bottom of his heart. Sogyo no Okotowari is an action-adventure in the Serite communication, serialized by the 13th Captain Yushiro Ukitake. Oh, that story. Your reaction's weak. It's amazingly popular, isn't it? Sogyo no Okotowari is a self-contained story in which good is rewarded and the evil is punished. The main hero Sogyo protects the villagers and confronts baddies. It was a popular work amongst children. After the Great War, the procedure of obtaining court documents was simplified, so the comings and goings between the Seriete and the Rukongai became lively. This work, which was prevalent in the Seriete, also rapidly spread among the children of the Rukongai. Now, no matter which districts of Rukongai you go to, the standalone book of Sogyo no Okotowari is entertaining children every day, even after it has become worn out after many times reading it. Can't read any further new works. The last Seriete communication was published before the invasion by the Wanderings began. The contents of Sogyo no Okotowari that was published 3 months ago depicted the shrine maiden and sorceress of the village falling into the enemy's hands. Sogyo was injured with a severe wound whilst also rescuing her. The wounds I bear when protecting myself is painful. However, the wounds I bear when protecting somebody else is not painful. Sogyo's word seems like a direct reflection of Ukitake's spirit. Hitsuga thought of that white-haired Soul Reaper and bit his lip a little. It was a story intended to be completed in one go, so I can't say I felt a sense of discomfort when it ended. As he said that, Ganju sniffled a few times. Hitsuga removed his gaze from Ganju and stared at the Seriete standing still in the evening sky. My older brother, Ayan Shiba. He served as a vice captain of the Squad 13. When he came home, he will always talk about Ukitake-san. Excuse me. At that time, I was still small, so I can barely remember the big kind of things he said, but I remember well the sight of my proud big brother's face as he talked. I see. Even as the past 3 years have flown by, Ukitake's spirits live on, without fading in everyone's memories and stories left behind. In that alone, Hitsuga felt a little secure. I'm sorry for keeping you. Looks like you were heading back? That's okay. It was good to be able to talk to you. He saw Hitsuga smile, Lindo. Ganju also smiled. I see! See you then, Captain-san! Whilst his back was heading further away, Hitsuga picked up a faint sense of nostalgia. Take charge while I'm gone, Toshiro. The former captain of Squad 10 was a man who smiled heartily. Isshin Kurosaki, formerly Isshin Shiba, father of Ichigo Kurosaki and uncle of Ganju. Ganju Shiba. He turned his back and walked away. We don't know. Someday we might be reunited with him. It's the Soul Reaper and the Seriete. Hitsuga vaguely thought. I hope so. One day. I need to stretch. Hold on a minute. Wait. Oh, I hit my wrist on my microphone. Ow. Ready? Let's see. Chapter 4, 6th Sector, Ryote the Safflower, a fancy traditional Japanese restaurant. In the eastern end of the 6th Sector, there is a block of noble residents standing in a row. The head of the Kuchiki family, one of the 4 noble families, had for generations shouldered the responsibility of 6th Squad Captain. The squad building for that squad exists in the 6th Sector, and the Kuchiki family are the purveyors of various long-standing jobs that are lined up side by side there too. For that reason, nobles wishing for fine quality goods all set up residence here. The common soldiers have dubbed this wealthy sector. Hizokugai. There we go. Hizokugai. Hey, Yamada. Is this really the right place? The 4th Squad Vice Captain Kyoen Kotetsu asked Kanataro Yamada, 3rd C of the same squad, who was concealed behind her as they walked. It's a prime location. It should be right, but Kanataro timidly followed Kyoen whilst checking the electronic correspondence that he received from Rukia Kuchiki many times over. As they passed through bamboo thickets in advance on the straight gravel covered road, the Sukiya architecture-style gate came into view. For the Lactai store, there was a beautiful brushed lettering that said the Safflower, and paper-covered lamps cast a soft light on its surrounding. This is a place. isn't it? We are already late for the get-together. There's nothing we can do but go in. As Kyoin made up her mind, she raised her hand to the lattice door. The wind blew and bamboo leaves rustled. Lieutenant, I already have a stomach ache. Keep a strong spirit, Yamada. Otherwise your internal organs will be twisting apart as soon as we enter. I'm afraid. We are vice captains in 3rd C, so even if you are going in and out of such high-class establishment, it's not at all strange. That's right, you should not feel strange. It's alright. It's alright. Whilst encouraging themselves, they opened the sliding doors and took a step inside. The entrance of the restaurant was at the end of a stone pavement where both sides were dotted with paper lamps arranged in a row. And before that, a pink kimono-clad Nakai was waiting for them. Nakai like a waitress hostess at Ryokan restaurants. As the figure of the pair entered her vision, the Nakai respectfully bowed and said, "Welcome, please come." The pair bowed their heads slightly as they walked hurriedly on the stone pavement. We have an engagement with Kuchiki? Yes, we have been informed. Kotetsu-sama, Yamada-sama. Without any doubts, their names were indeed invited to the restaurant as expected. They both exhaled a breath of rare relief. Whew. I will guide you. I will guide you. Please, this way. Led by the elderly Nakai, they advanced through the corridors facing the gardens that had been arranged in magnificent levels of details. The amber of the polished floorboards shined. After crossing the corridors where huge koi fish were swimming atop a pond, they were shown into a private room. Here it is. Your guests have arrived. The Nakai called out through the Kusama sliding panels, to which a reply of yes came from the inside. The Nakai slid open the panels noisily, with smiles toward Hanataro and Kyoin. Everyone is here now. Kotetsu Dono! Hanataro! Rising from her Zaisu chair, Rukia greeted them. Beside her, Renji Abarai also stood with a bow. He said, "Thank you for coming when you are so busy." Eh? What's this? What are you talking about? Everyone is coming, aren't they? The familiar Soul Reaper placed themselves around the extravagant low table placed in the middle of spacious tatami room. Glad that you can make it. Thank you for coming, Kyoin-san, Anataro-kun. Rangiku Matsumoto waved her hand, and Hinamori Momo swiftly bowed her head. Yo, Kotetsu, how's the 4th squad? Isn't it fun working in the same place as your older sister? With a laugh, Kyoin said fairly, in reply to Ikaku Madarame and Yumichika Ayasagawa, Yamada-kun, you were promoted. Congratulations. Izuru Kira congratulates Hanataro, who shyly touched his hand to his head. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Kira. Observing that scene, Shuhei Hisagi spoke. Oi, that was a while ago. Did you not see the seated members register that came out after the Great War? That was very hard to produce, you know. I'm looking at it properly. It's just that his face is merely different since the promotion. That's true. Today is the first time seeing you after the Great War, I think. Did you not meet at the times of your physical examinations? It seems every soldier has been made to go to the coordinary relief station. Renji asked Izuru, who replied, I'm exempt from physical examination. This guy gets examination at the Department for Research and Development, so it's okay. This guy gets examinations at the Department for Research and Development, so it's okay. Haven't you read Captain Kurosuchi's research paper? Isagi asked. I have read it, but what's it like coming back to life and then becoming amazingly strong? You are truly an idiot. Zero reading comprehension, Rangiku and Hisagi said in likely quick remarks. Eh? Why? What's wrong? Rukia patted Renji on the back and said, I'll explain later. Well, don't stand there forever, Kyoin and Co. Sit here. That said, Rangiku pointed to 2 empty seats next to Hinamori. But Rangiku-san, we cannot decide such things as our setting arrangement, can we? Like the head of the table or the foot of the table. Now, there's no need to be so formal. I think it's okay if we put the captains in front of the Tokonoma, right, Kuchiki? Tokonoma equals alcove where art or flowers are displayed. Yeah, it is. If that's alright with everyone. Opposite Renji and Rukia, a slightly disgruntled Toshiro Hitsugai, who was placed at the other end of the table, nodded in agreement, indicating that it was no problem. Kyo and Hanataro sat down, and all seats were occupied. Curiously enough, against the tokonoma, the right-hand side of the low table was entirely male members. Left side was 3 members, plus Hanataro. Watching as Rangiku laughed, saying, Hanataro is also on the girls' team. Yumichika shook his head, thinking, good grief. You're a girl yourself. You are a girl yourself. You're a bit old for that kind of thing, don't you think? Hold your tongue, Yumichika. You want me to knock you out? Come now, Rangiku-san, Yumichika-san. Also, please stop. It's no big deal. Yoen rebuked. Rebuked. Yumichika shrugged his shoulder and said, understood. Ahem. Renji stood up straight and puffed out his chest to speak. Saying ahem was clearly absurd. Should have said more than just cough. Ahem. Don't think this ahem is a meaningful word? Rangigu, Hitsugaya, and Hisaki thought. Renji, with a nervous expression, looked around at all who were present. After also standing up from the tension, Rukia's cheeks were slightly flushed. Today, thank you for sparing your valuable time for us. Rukia's voice sounded shrill and nervous, her cheeks become increasingly red. Renji inhaled a breath of air. Actually, about that, everyone unconsciously stopped breathing due to the tension in the air. The pair's heartbeats could be heard. We are getting married, Renji declared. Together, they bowed deeply. A moment of silence. When the couples raised their faces, Rangiku grinned and applauded to them. Congrats! That's great, Abarai! Congratulations! Ikaku and Yumichika also clapped their hands at the same time. One person after the other spoke words of congratulations and applauded. Thank you very much. We are happy. But everyone isn't surprised? We had intended to set up something like a surprise, but Rangiku smirked as she saw both of their expressions, which was a complex mixture of both joy and confusion. Well, don't you know? There's an important announcement. I thought when Rukia-chan didn't include it in her message earlier. How can one think otherwise? To Yumichika's words, Hinamori also smiled, nodding in agreement. Since it was just me and Yamada that were both summoned by Kuchiki, I thought, what's the announcement about? Until we came here, but everyone is here and at the place of this sort of ranking. That's right, when I saw this place appearances, I also thought it was that kind of announcement. Hyonen and Izuru also agree with everyone. I did not realize anything at all. As Hisagi muttered that, Rangiku quickly remarked harshly with, sick head, uncool, sleeveless. Huh? Sleeves are irrelevant. Directly opposite. Oh, my throat. Reading. Water. Agua. Directly opposite Amon Hisagi, Hyoen shook Hanataro's shoulder and asked, Hey, what's up with you, Yamada? Huh? I was so amazed that my consciousness went flying. Hanataro, whose eyes were left wide open, finally regained his senses. Are you okay, Hanataro? Looking at her face anxiously, he replied, yes, to Rukia. Hanataro bowed deeply to the pair. I'm sorry I lost consciousness when we were celebrating. Renji took no notice of the apology and instead showed him a smile that said, it's no problem. Congratulations, Rukia-san, Renji-san, the marriage of the two of you. I am truly happy. The fact is, I don't understand why, even myself, but I want to say thank you. I just feel like that. Hanataro tried to reflect upon every little word so that he could convey his blessings to the best of his ability. Excuse me. Thank you, Hanataro. Thanks. Looking at the couple who earnestly expressed their gratitude, naturally, everyone's smiles grew. Oh my goodness, how many times am I gonna burp? Once again, congratulations, Kuchiki, Renji, Rangiku declared. May you both live together in happiness. As Kyon clapped her hands, a round of applause was given to the couple again. Congratulations! Rukia smiled shyly. Renji displayed a toothy grin. Itsugaya thinks. The road to restoration is still far ahead. There are many places where untouched wreckage is spread far and wide. Meanwhile, the appearances of these two people who will build up new connections will become hope for everybody. What is it you're grinning? Rangiku laughed a little, poking Hitsugaya repeatedly with her fingertips. There was no moodiness like there usually was in his voice, that calmly responded with nothing. You must have taken considerable effort to do all this, Abarai, Isagi said, looking around the wide room. No, I left the task of the restaurants up to Rukia. Because I don't know much about restaurants, I want the people of my household to book a restaurant with private rooms for me. Well, it's such a high-class restaurant, that's why, Rangiku said, shrugging her shoulders. It's my first time coming to Kizokugai. I was insanely nervous. Hyoin laughed it off as Rukia apologized to her dad. It was reported to me that this restaurant was not pretentious and that it was popular. Chiyo, a maid who usually performs a miscellaneous chores around Rukia, is the youngest employee of the Kuchiki family. She is a familiar companion for Rukia. For that reason, she trusted the selection of the restaurants to Chiyo with confidence. I will make preparations so that you have the perfect restaurants for today's gathering. She recalled Chiyo's self-confidence, face brimming with a smile. It's certainly a perfectly suitable place for a gathering, apart from the fact that it is not actually popular. Well, yeah, seems like it's popular with the four noble families, Ikaku uttered. Everyone nodded in agreement. But I think we are highly ranked enough for a place like this, aren't we? There's one captain, 8 vice captains, and 2 dirt seats, Yumichika said, looking around at all who were present. We don't come to establishment like this because it's not a question of status, it's a question of money. Rangiku responded with a sigh. I'm scared of the bill. Renji held his head in his hands. From the corner of the room, the Nakai who lingered there approached the slide, opens the panel. Abarai-sama? Yes? We have received payment. Huh? From who? That is, from a certain ally. Nothing more. The Nakai spoke ambiguously about that certain someone. It's Byakuya Kuchiki. They guessed the person's true identity. I'm sorry for inconveniencing my brother, Rukia muttered. Itsugai then spoke. I don't think such a thing is any trouble for him. He's happy you guys are getting married. Raising her head, Rukia fluttered away tears that had filled her eyes. We have to go thank him, Renji uttered to Rukia in whisper, who strongly nodded in assent many times over. If the head of the family has paid for it, then do not hesitate to eat and drink. Even if Renji paid for it, I don't feel like holding back. Yeah, I'm a man who doesn't hold back when he's being treated. Listening to exchange between Ikaku and Yumichika, an exasperated Hitsugaya grumbled. Don't throw your chest out like you're proud of that. Hinamori? What were you looking around for just now? Rangiku remarked. Hinamori a little shyly pointed to the sideboard of the low table. A beautifully carved crane was there. At first, I thought the carvings here are amazing. So then, I looked around at only the celebratory things. In the tokonoma, there was a hanging scroll suspended there with calligraphy, and white plum blossoms were arranged in a vase. There were splendid pine trees on the gold leaf-covered folding screens, and cherry blossoms in full bloom painted on the fusuma sliding panels. It's a bit overkill for a celebration, right? Izuru said, feeling a slight pressure in his forehead. Is this room normally used for celebration? As Hinamori asked, the Nakai gave a relaxed smile and lowered her head while she replied, We were able to make preparations like this with instructions we received from a certain ally. Surprise ran through everyone in the room as they all started to chatter. Eh? You were able to alter the interior designs? Didn't you book the reservations just this morning, Kuchiki? To Kion's inquiry, Rukia said yes and nodded. Everything today was down to my brother to begin with. It may have been reported to him by Chiyo out of worry. Rukia thought, in contrast with a perplexed Rukia, everyone was slightly smiling. Captain Kuchiki. Is he not awkward at celebrating? Ikaku remarked, followed immediately by Yumichika and Rangiku. He's too excessive. The The celebration feels congested. He's not exactly used to celebrating. Captain Kuchiki's cold demeanor image is unrivaled, but there must also be a side to him that's in high spirits since his younger sister's getting married, Kisagi keenly stated. Haha, although he might get angry if he says such a thing, I think that is very heartwarming. That's true, Hanatora chuckled, agreeing with Hinamori. I think he wanted to do something a little extra before Kuchiki-san leaves his hand. Yuzuru looked at the interior of the room, overflowing with good luck charms, the true motives inside the heart of a recent man. He thought it was beyond imagination that this room came from his usual, not very talkative self. Like that? Since I was swiftly attacked and on the verge of death the whole time, I can't remember anything at all. That is pitiful. Next to Kyoin, who ranked a hand through her hair, services behind the scenes special feature. Not bad at all. Services behind the scenes special feature. Not bad at all. Kisagi muttered, writing down his idea for a special feature in his notebook. It's been a long time since things had been lively like this. Renji laughed a little. Rikia also nodded in agreement. That's right. Prior to the Great War, it was a part of an everyday life that troops from each squad would gather and drink sake together after work. But now, every squad is busy with reconstructions operations. Even if you just drink with people of the same squad, troops of several squads gathering as drinking parties was extremely rare. The couple were deeply grateful that these troops were able to accept their invitation under such circumstances. 1 hour and 3 minutes since the start of the banquet. The drunkards, Rankiku. Oh, let me check my phone real quick. Oh man. Oh, I need to stretch. After the stream, I gotta go take a shower. Oh shoot, is that me? Here's my... Oh whoa, why am I getting 90 frames all of a sudden? What's going on? Alright, this will do. Alright. Back to reading. 1 hour and 3 minutes since the start of the banquet. The drunkards Rangiku, Yumichika, and Kyoen were persistent. Only when they finished listening about the couple's meeting up to the marriage proposal, information that they had inquisitively pried from them, they finally set the pair free with a look at satisfaction. And when is the ceremony? Hikaku said while gulping down the expensive sake like water. I discussed it with Rukia, but we plan not to conduct a ceremony. We will only register in the marriage. It's such a time like this, so just being able to celebrate with everyone this way. You can't do that. Rangiku shot up and slapped the low table with a bang. With eyes bulged open, she thrust her index finger towards the pair. You must absolutely conduct the ceremony. Rangiku spoke with hopeful eyes to Rukia, who was at loss for words. For sure. I want you to plan it because it's such a time like this. Every day I'm receiving reports like that squad house has been repaired. That facility has been reopened. No news, but then again, everything is usually just this is restored back to its former self. Hearing of the reconstruction advancement was a pleasing thing. That sentiment was no lie. Although it was no lie. When I received an email from Renji this morning, is this a marriage announcement? That's what I thought for the first time in a long while. It truly felt like my heart was boiling over an excitement. I was so cheerful since you two made me feel so great. How did you decide not to hold a ceremony, such a thing like this? That I absolutely will not tolerate. After saying that, Rangi gave a tender smile. It was not merely a consequence of drunkenness that the area around her eyes were slightly tinged with red. Hinamori cried loudly as if the sake she had consumed had slackened her tears cleanse. I also want you two to hold a wedding ceremony. Oh, there. Hey, Abarai, Kuchiki, Hinamori is crying like this. Take some responsibility. Hold a ceremony. Yelling and barking, embracing Hinamori's second. Bro, they're like asking you to like hold a ceremony. You need to have a ceremony. You should have a ceremony now. I also agree. Besides, Renji, if you don't hold a ceremony, what if Captain Kuchiki doesn't remain silent? Hikaku emptied his sake cup with a gulp. At any rate, it gives Captain Kuchiki a reason to want to celebrate. If this one celebratory occasion is wasted, he'd be offended. Saying that, Yumichika with a confident expression looked at Renji, blood drained from Renji's face. The true revival begins from here. Aburai, Kuchiki, 2 vice captains marriage ceremony special feature. 50 pages, fully loaded, openly spread wedding photos. Not bad. It's not good to connect anything to work right now, Hisagi-san. Without paying attention to Isuru's candid advice, Hisagi reviewed the draft of the magazine's content. From the next month onwards, there are rarely marriages like this between fellow lieutenants. No one complains when you celebrate on a grand scale. Itsugaya said, calmly tilting back his sake cup. Thank you very much. Truly, we are so blessed. Rukia placed her hands on her knees, grasping tightly. She looked at Renji. Let's hold a ceremony, Renji. Let's allow everyone to celebrate this to the marrow of our bones. Though it could have been written off as a desperate proposal, Rukia's eyes, however, were sparkling with happiness. Renji hit the palm of his hand with his fist. Alright, let's do it! He reiterated with a smile. Everyone, we will have your attendance. Will you please accept this responsibility and come? Everyone gladly nodded to Renji's invitation. If it's been decided as such, then I need to make preparations for a kimono in a hurry, and putting in a booking for measurements. Rangiku excitedly took out her divine messenger and began to send an electronic message to a familiar trap. Matsumoto, just the other day, you said you have too many kimonos that you can't wear them all. Wasn't a cabinet brought over to you from my office? Itsugaya was uninterested in garments. He only had a few clothes for himself. For that reason, originally there were 2 cabinets placed in the captain's office. Now, one remains without much use. It was absolutely no problem to have things that do not get used. But considering there was already 20 cabinets crammed into the lieutenant's room, Rangiku's passion to purchase even more new things whilst also possessing that many kimonos was no small wonder to Hitsugaya. I will also go for a new kimono tailoring. Ah, well then, Hinamori, shall we go together? Is that okay? I definitely want to go with you. Fiona raised her hand. Me too, me too. At that exchange, Rukia's eyes also shined. Lieutenant Matsumoto, me too. Kuchiki, you can't. Isn't it Captain Kuchiki who should be deciding the arrangements for your kimono? He will undoubtedly give orders for the highest quality things, so behave yourself, Rangiku said. Rukia feels slightly abashed, nodded her head in agreement. I have no experience in something like this. What's appropriate for a man to wear? Anatora inquired after timidly raising his hand. Well, I think it's okay for the guys to wear the soul robes. After all, this is an acceptable uniform. Also, I have no money to buy. So when he saw Hisagi laughing that it was okay and he need not worry, Anatora exhaled a large breath of air and said, that's good. It seems there is no money because Hisagi-san does nothing but waste it. Yamada-kun, if you go to a draper store and tell them about the sort of budget you have and what kind of thing you want to wear, they will choose something precisely adequate for you. Try going there at once. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Kira. Anatora bowed his head to Izuru over and over again until he was halted by Izuru, who said, That's enough. I should wear Western clothes. I wonder if you will invite Ichigo and Orihime-chan too. That's right, of course. We will speak with them. Renji replied to Yumichika. He then asked Rukia, is that okay? Rukia nodded, of course, enthusiastically. For a while, things will become busier. Uttering their face radiated, bright with joy. Marriage Registration Part 1. Wait. Oh man, holy crap. Alright, let me get my phone real quickly. Check. Wait, when did I mute my mic? There we go. Oops. Alright. Man, dude, this is like... I'm like... How many pages? I'm like 52 of 350. Wow. We're already like 2 hours into the stream. You know what? I'll keep reading. And I'll stop at point where however I want to stop, and maybe I'll finish it off stream. Who knows? Let's see. I'll keep reading. Let's do this. Maybe we'll reach page 100. Who knows? And is this marriage registrations page 1? Yes? Wait. Yeah. Chapter 1. Marriage registrations part 1. 6th sector. Kuchiki family mansion. On the morning after 1 week since the gathering at the marriage announcement has passed, Ni-sama! Finishing squad preparations, Byakuya Kuchiki exited his room only to be called to a halt by Rukia. She's nimbly folded her knees and propped herself up with both hands on the plain wood of the of the hallway. Today, I will leave for Nioseki formalities, entering a family register as a married couple. After bowing and then raising her face, Byakuya looked at Rukia with softened eyes. I see. As an appointment going for the Kininkai. There we go, Kininkai. I see. As an appointment for going to the Kininkai had already been settled, Rukia tilted her head at hearing this unfamiliar word. Kininkai. Go to Kininkai? Don't I simply submit a notification to the Personal Record Administration Bureau? Watching his younger sister-in-law, who looked puzzled, Byakuya's eyes widened in bewilderment. Chiyo? Yes, I am here. Immediately there was a reply coming from the right side behind Rukia. Turning to look over her shoulder, to her surprise, her maid Chiyo was kneeling there while slowing her head in a deep bow. Give a detailed explanation to Rukia. Without saying what, Byakuya gave this command with only a few brief words. Having no need to inquire back, Chiyo responded, As you please. I will go now. Take care, Byakuya-sama. Take care, Ni-sama. Chiyo said that whilst remaining in a low bow. Rukia stood up and watched his back until he was out of sight. Well then, Chiyo. What in the world is this Kininkai that Ni-sama was talking about? Rukia returned to her room accompanied by Chiyo. Together with Renji Abarai, who had just come to pick her up, they sat face to face with Chiyo. Kininkai is an abbreviation for Kinin, Noble Assembly. In cases of marriages involving the 4 noble families, it is compulsory to submit the documents to the Kinin Noble Assembly. That document should be presented by the head of the family themselves. I see. So that's why Ni-sama has asked me if I have fixed appointment for going to the Kininkai. Chiyo nodded. That's right. Where's this Kinin Noble Assembly? When Renji asked, Chiyo laughed. You should avoid being impatient, Renji-sama. She spread out a piece of paper with 4 folds that was kept in between her waist stash, in front of the other 2. In which case, please allow Chiyo to deliver an explanation regarding the process of the Nioseki. On that paper that was entitled Rukia-sama and Renji-sama Course of Events up to Nioseki. There's a beautifully brushed writing and myriad of details were penned. Chiyo pointed at them one by one. She carefully explained the numerous formalities leading up to the Nioseki. It's this complicated? I even feel the ill will of someone who doesn't intend to get married. The pair who had finished listening to everything both had their heads resting in their arms. The summary of Nioseki process as it follows. 1. For the marriage of persons residing within the Serite, submissions of marriage registrations to the 7th Sector Personal Record Administration Bureau. 2. For the marriages of the 13 Court Guard Squads, soldiers, submissions of the Regimental Soldier Marriage Registration to the 4th Sector Court Guard Squad Soldiers Record Administration Bureau. I need water. 3. For the marriages of official seats and above, submissions of high spirit marriages restoration to the 6th sector higher order spirit rank administration's review. For the marriages of nobles, submissions of noble marriages registrations to the Central 1st Sector Noble Assembly. 5. For the marriage of the 4th grade noble families, a marriage certificate is presented to the Kine Noble Assembly. The husband and wife are present under the head of the family who submits it. 6. Report to the captain vice captain of the entire squad in the squad's headquarters. By the way, the reception counter of the Kine Noble Assembly is only open from 9 AM to 11 AM, so please be aware of that. It is for that reason that Byakuya-sama was concerned about going to the Kininkai appointment. That's so. That's no good. I can't take a half day off. Nodding a yes, Chiyo looked at her pocket watch. You're going to face this process for now because you are both well accustomed to using Shunpo. Chiyo thinks you will be just in time to present yourself for Regentmo Soldier marriage registration. Even if we use Shunpo, we can't visit more than 2 places? Right now, it is 7 minutes past 9. It is? I understand that Kininkai is compulsory. I hope I can go as far as submitting a document to the Noble Assembly. Renji-sama, the officers have a waiting time. That part is unavoidable, since there is no way that each administration's bravery will simply do a marriage registration at the reception desk. The Personal Record Administration Bureau that deals with people going in and out of the Seriete is particularly busy. It was famous for its long waiting times. It is said that they handle all procedures throughout the whole day. Renji, I wonder if there's no help for what you were saying to Chiyo. Chiyo, do you mind if I take the instructions? Of course not. Chiyo gladly folded the paper up and respectfully held out to Rukia. Pulling into her pocket, Rukia clapped Renji's shoulder and stood up. Let's go! Marriage registrations 2. Wait, what page is nice? Oh, my horns. Whilst walking Goro the pet dog at the back of the squad building, the 7th squad's captain Tetsuzaimon Iba went around the premises to collect the previous day's paperwork. The typical collection method is that after work, each soldier submits their paperwork of the day to the collection box in front of the office. The former Captain Saijin Komamura did this in a specific way. Morning collection walk, which Iba continued to this day. Upon finishing the collection, Iba returned Goro to his pen. He took a seat on a bench that was placed next to that pen. The bench was right under the growing shade of Yamamo tree, and a refreshing breeze was blowing. Iba took out a bundle of reports. From the documents container, he shifted his sunglasses to his forehead and eyed the contents thoroughly. He then inked areas of concern in red. When the paper bundle reached half its original amount, Goro, who was sprawled out by Iba's feet with a white fur that swayed in the gentle breeze, who pricked up his ears and then raised his body. What's wrong, Goro? Goro barked once, as if to bring attention to something. He gazed intently at the alleyway. Besides, the squad building wagged its tail excitedly. Before long, from that alleyway appeared 2 young werewolves wearing students' hakama, indicating that they were students of the Shino Academy. Academy, that's how you pronounce it. Academy, there you go. Sorry. I even say academy for when I say academy. Academy. Oh great, now I forgot to pronounce it. They start sprinting into tumble. Urui, Shoma, Tetsu-san, the older brother Urui, whose gray fur fluttered, jumped at Iba's right leg as he stood up from the bench. Tetsu-san, the younger brother Shoma, who had an ivory white coat of fur, hung to the left leg also. Goro delightfully ran laps around Iba. What have you been up to so early in the morning? After patting their heads, Iba grasped the back of their collars, peeled them off of him, and then lowered them back to the ground. pair playfully followed and pet a slightly disheveled Goro while talking. Since we are starting apprenticeship from tomorrow, throughout today, we are learning the path leading to the barracks of squads we are temporarily affiliated with. Sensei told us to examine what's around us. Shoma declared it's the last day off before things become terribly busy, Urui added. So then, Tetsu-san, we pulling Uri's slaves whilst breaking him off mid-sentence. Shoma said, Big brother, that's unfair. I will also say it. Well then, let's say on one go. Ready, set, go! We were assigned to the 7th squad. From around his waist height, the 2 sets of cute round eyes stared up at Iba. Both of you. That's amazing, right? It's awesome since it's 1 out of 13 and 1 out of 13 are 1 out of 169. Nice. Ah, that's a probability. Big brother calculates fast. With a that's right, Urui placed his hands on his hips and threw out his chest. The thick bushy tail that protruded from his hakama swayed left and right. Normally, the former apprentices were selected at random. The head of the academy probably allocated them both to the 7th squad. While considering their feelings, Iba thought, that's right. We wanted Tetsu-san to make us a tail whole again. Today, we brought our soul ropes hakama given to us by Sensei. Urui tucked up his sleeves. From a bag, he took out a black hakama accompanied by a small sewing box, which he then handed over to Iba. Mine too. Shoma also took a hakama out from a bag. Of course, even though I'm not your mother. Despite uttering that complaint, Iba opened up the sewing box and began working, contrary to their manly appearances. Iba was nimble-fingered, from carpentry to housework and sewing. He could do anything. It was also Iba that made a hole in their student hakama for their tails to pass through, which the Wolfman brothers were currently wearing. Urui and Shoma sat on both sides like they were sandwiching Iba. They watched fixedly, captivated by his skills. Hey, Tetsu-san, we went to meet Saijin-sama last night. We informed him that we are starting our apprenticeship from the day after tomorrow, Urui said whilst focusing his gaze on the top of the needle sewing forward with a prick. You snuck out your dormitories again. Then, was Saijin Donna doing as well? We went and hunted with some plump pheasants. Shoma spread both his hands widely with a complicated smile. I see. That's good. It was still warm and delicious. Urui watched as Shoma licked his lips. That's bad manners, he chided. Saji-sama wanted to tell us, Tetsu-sama, that as a leader of the people you must, more than anyone else, take care of yourself. As Urui said that, Iba's hands suddenly stopped moving. Tetsu's son was at the training field late at night and was discovered by Saijin-sama. Shoma giggled. He can see through anything. I'm no match for Saijin Dono. Iba sighed and then laughed a little. Saijin Komamura did battle using a secret humanization technique handed down to him by his Wolfman family in order to strike down the enemies of Genry's side. In the end, the price that he paid for that was transforming into an animal that could not speak. Along with becoming a wolf, Komamura survived the Great War. Through the Great War. He remained hidden in the hills behind the training fields. Iba reported to everyone that Captain was killed in action. All the existing captains and vice captains felt the spiritual pressure of Komamura, although it became much smaller and could not compare to before. Respecting the decision of Iba, they dealt with it as if he were killed in action. Even when it became a popular topic of conversation that a large wolf has settled in the hills behind the 7th Squad's training grounds, everyone in the inner circle thought it's Saijin Komamura, while maintaining an air of indifference towards the subject. One night after half a year had passed since Komamura began living on the hillside, Iba thought that it seemed as if Sanji was summoning him. He jumped from his futon, he grabbed his cloak, and rushed out on the front. It's gonna be responsibly cold. It's actually literally, it's actually colder in my room as we speak. Well, not cold anymore, it's warm. Iba walked upon the training grounds. Komaru sat at the foot of a grass-covered hill. When he caught sight of Iba's figure, he got up and gave a small bark. He then led Iba up the hill. As he followed, he treads firmly on the soft ground where fallen leaves had accumulated. He was guided before a hole approximately 1 meter in diameter, dug directly into a steep slope. Is there something inside? Iba stooped down and concentrated his gaze inside the pitch-dark hole. Who is it? Sanji-sama. He thought he had imagined hearing the small voice coming from the inside. Komamura barked towards the inside. There were sounds of something stirring about. 2 young wolfmen's boys creeped out. They were wearing clothes that were similar to rags. Their fur was slightly dirty, only their eyes were a breathtaking, vibrant orange color. Are they wolfmen children? Looking at the surprised Iba, the 2 werewolves with cute eyes said, "Wow," in a raised voice. It's Tetsuzaimon Iba-san! Awesome, awesome! It's the real Tetsuzaimon-san! The pair delightfully ran around Iba. Saji-sama called him here. Saji-sama called him here. Thank you very much. The young boy with gray fur threw his arm around Komamuru's neck. Komaru responded with a sniff and sobbed his eyes. Tetsu-san, we came here because we want to become Soul Reaper. The other young boy with the ivory white fur jumped about whilst grasping Iba's clothes. He teared himself away and said, Hey, when people meet people, they introduce themselves first. The pair kneeled alongside each other whilst resting on both hands in front of Iba. It's nice to meet you. I am Uri of the Wolfman family. I'm this guy's older brother. I am called Shoma. I'm the younger brother. In unison, they voiced, pleased to meet you, and bowed. I'm Tetsuzaimon Iba, 7th Squad Captain. Iba bowed sternly. We know, Shoma laughed. We read this and decide we want to become Soul Reapers. Urui carefully took out a worn-out magazine that was inside his pocket. He showed the front cover to Iba. It was a Squad 7's special feature issue of Sarite Communication published many years ago. Iba carried the 2 back to the squad house. They both took a bath first of all. Meanwhile, he quickly prepared rice balls and soup in the kitchen. The pair got up from the bathtub and put on new clothes. Then they sat in front of the hibachi and ate their meal. Komamura hated the idea of heading inside, but he was pulled in regardless, given no choice by the brothers thinking good grief at the situation. He settled himself down in the corner of the room. So you guys, how'd you come here? Iba asked the 2 who were now completely clean whilst he was warming up with hot sake. We were packed into Uncle's cargo. Note this uncle person is not actually their uncle. Oji-san's not uncle in this context, but using other words like Mr. didn't flow well with the text, so he will be referred as uncle. Joma, he won't understand if you just talk about that all of a sudden. Tetsu-san, it's okay if this become a little long. Watching Iba's nodded, Urui put down his soup bowl and began talking. Because our Wolfman family normally lives inside a den, we almost invariably don't know anything about the situation of the outside world. Even if we ask adults, they say they don't know. So I thought I should go see for myself. Together with Shoma, we secretly sneaked out of our den at the dead of night. We went to a nearby town. The stars that came out were amazing. The Wolfman family lives on the top of a large mineral deposit where various gems are mined. They are extracted for business. Since we know that once a month, an adult takes the gems to a nearby town to exchange them for clothes and other supplies. We followed the scents and went there. It was night, so there was no one on the streets, but the both of us got to take a look around for a while. Then, we met Uncle. At the edge of a town, a large, refined-looking man with muscular build was happy to see the 2 small werewolves and gave a broad smile. At the edge of a town, a large... Oh wait, I already read it, sorry mind. That person. He always carried out the gem transactions with our Wolfman family. He was a good uncle, goods transporter. This book. He gave it to us. Joma put aside his food and instead picked up and embraced the Sarite Communication magazine. Since we knew Uncle would be in town in the evening of the days, the adults would go bartering for goods. We went to meet up with him many times. We heard about the outside world, stories of the court guard squads, the fact that a very powerful Ryoka came, that there was a battle to protect the human world town, that there was an awfully huge war and a lot of Soul Reaper lost their lives. Apparently, a lot of the 7 squad Soul Reapers also passed away. Sanji-sama too. We were told he was dead. However, we will not believe that. Such a big, strong, and cool person like Sanji-sama could not be dead. So then, we decided to go and confirm if he had truly died at that moment. We said, let's become Soul Reaper in Sanji-sama's place. Hibachi's glowing embers were reflected in the eyes of the two who looked directly up to Iba. The original orange mixed with red. It appears as if the insides of their eyes were set ablaze. If we said that to our mother, she would tell us, "Don't say such reckless things." She gets so angry that she locked our bedroom from the outside at night. In daytime, the adults are watching and we can't sneak out. We were worried about what happened to do on the day. What to do? On the day our father had bartering duties, he took us with him to town. Before departing, their father said, since they become secluded and then the whole time, they started talking about becoming Soul Reapers. If I showed them around outside a little, it may calm them down. He persuaded their dissenting mother and then took the pair out. Our father did the business transaction at the edge of town with Uncle's goods transporter. At the end, he said, "Won't you transport these guys to Serite?" At that moment, the father handed over the red gem wrapping cloth. I saw it. It was a ruby icing. I guess that was our transport fee, father said. Surely follow down the path that Sanji-sama has opened up. With a smile, he sent us off. Watching his father figure as he waved his hand enthusiastically, Urui suddenly thought that their father might also in fact have wanted to become a Soul Reaper. Did he give up that when we were born? As they both remembered their father, they seemed lonely. Their ears turned downwards. The quiet room resounded with noise of crackling charcoal. Uncle gave us clothes to hide our faces. We wore that and walked through Kongai for several days. We were then concealed inside a wooden box and loaded onto a cart for a huge gate. We were taken in swiftly without being exposed, but we were told we couldn't be unloaded in a place where there were people watching. We went to Uncle's delivery destination. It was a very big workshop called Omaida Jewels. The Omaida's company buy gems for our Wolfman family. Omaida Jewels is one of Soul Society's jewelry, run by the Omaida family. The second squad's vice captain, Marichio Omaida, serves as the manager of the precious metals department. It was a familiar company, Iba thought, but he's never heard of there being any relation to the Wolfman family before. To start with, we thought we should meet Tetsu-san. We asked Uncle about the location of the 7th squad. In order not to be discovered by people, we only travel at nighttime. We passed through mountainous terrain and forests. On the night of the 3rd day, in the middle of the forest, we detected the scent of a fellow wolf. We thought Sanji-sama was alive, after all. Oh, my phone, hold on. Alright, I just set an alarm as like a reminder. Oh, I hit my hand. It's like a reminder to play Dokkan because I always miss daily logins. At that moment, their excitement returned. Shoma stood up and started hopping up and down the spawn. We explained to Sanji-sama about everything until we came here. Tetsuzaimon will surely be a help to you, he told us. Wait a minute, you guys can understand the captain's speech? Eh? Tetsu-san doesn't understand? Shoma, people don't understand wolf language. Normal. Urui declared. Shoma sadly lowered his tail and walked towards Komamura. Sitting beside him, Shoma said, Sanji-sama, is there anything you want to tell Tetsu-san? I can relay it for you. He brought his ears close to Komamura's mouth. After pondering on this for a little while, Komamura gave several low barks. Catching his words, Shoma came back in front of Hibachi with a smiling face. What did the captain say? First of all, he wants you to stop calling him captain. Since Tetsu-san is the captain now, it's uncomfortable to be called so. I see. I apologize, Sajin Dono. Facing towards Komamura, Iba bowed his head. You saved it at the last moment just now, Urui said. And one more thing, Tetsuzaimon is well suited for parenting, he says. Ha! Ha ha ha. I also think so too, Sanji-sama. Me too. I also think so. Watching as the pair rolled with laughter, a slightly embarrassed Iba took a gulp of his skate. What in the world do you think the time is right now, Captain Iba? Vice Captain... Wait, what? What in the world do you think the time is right now, Captain Iba? Vice Captain Yasuchika Iyamura, who came to give a warning to what seemed like soldiers staying up late, was lost for words when he saw the lineups of faces illuminated by hibachi. Who are these wolf children? And could that big wolf in the corner possibly be Sanji Komamura-san then? So does that mean those wolf children are the members of the Sanji-sama's family? Ah, I know this guy, said Shoma, pointing at Iyamura, whose mouth was agape. He's the person that's third seat of fourth squad. If I'm not mistaken, that is Iyamura-san. Hey Tetsu-san, why is there a fourth squad member here so late? You both might have read in the Serite communication that this guy is in the fourth squad. Well, he's my vice captain now. Hearing that, the pair exchanged glances at each other's faces. Vice captain? They rushed over to Iyamura. Nice to meet you. I'm called Urui of the Wolfman family. I'm called Shoma. Together they say, pleased to meet you, Lieutenant Iyamura. They bowed. That's very kind. I'm Yasuchika Iyamura, Vice Captain of Squad 7. These children, I will take responsibility over these Wolfman brothers. Tetsu-san, you're accepting us? Hooray! The two kick off the floor, flying past the hibachi to embrace Iba. Behind his sunglasses, Iba looked fondly at them. He gently placed his hands on the two hands. What are you mumbling about, Iyamura? It's off-putting. Spit it out clearly. No, it's just that Captain Iba makes that kind of facial expression too. It was the first time in half a year seeing Iba with a smiling face. Naturally, he was a man who didn't smile very much. After the Great War, since the captain's inauguration, his face always tense and stern. What? You have the cheeks to say that? Iba tried to throw his sake cup at Iyamura after feeling embarrassed that his smiling expression was seen but was stopped from doing so by Komamura. Komamura barked several times in a row. Before long, Urui translated the contents. You get too worked up. You need to loosen up the tension in your shoulders some more. Dropping his raised arm, Iba apologized to Iyamura. Sorry. Please don't apologize. It was on the spur of the moment. I will understand if I get a scolding right now. However, if you just allow me to say this, Imamura came closer to the hibachi. He sat on his heels in front of Iba and pushed his spectacles up. Captain Iba, I believe you have the tendency to be a little stubborn. You're trained until late every night, regardless of the late hour. Must wake up to heal your wounds. It seems as if I was seen as vice captain because I was from the fourth squad. Even if I tell you to take a little rest, you do not listen. You really quinish your day off to train again and again. Watching the captain be like that, the troops also trained all the time. Until late, they bargained to my place to fix their broken arms, fractured bones. Even when I have vice captain duties, everyone says, I want to be strong like captain someday. I want to be able to support a captain someday. Truly you are a wonderful captain, except in just one place. You don't seem to appreciate your vice captain much. Iyamura said almost without taking a breath. He fearfully raised his face. Iba silently held out a sake cup for him. Thank you very much. Iyamura accepted it and remained quiet as the sake was poured. The werewolves who were exhausted fell asleep atop Iba's knees. Their light snoring could be heard. Settling against the hibachi's embers, the two continued to drink together in peace. Look, how do you like it? Having completed sewing holes for their tails to pass through, Iba handed over the hakama one by one to each of the two. Thank you, Tetsu-san. Is it okay if we also wear them now? Shoma said hastily, raising his hands to the cords of his student hakama. Wait! He was halted by Iba. Keep it for tomorrow. I have to return to work already. Okay. Shoma disappointingly put the hakama into the bag. Hey, Shoma, let go! Urui urged whilst waving enthusiastically at Iba. They dashed towards the alleyway beside the squad building. Rukia and Renji, who received a number ticket at the reception desk of the Personal Record Administration Bureau, decided to use the lengthening of waiting time to visit the 7th Squad captain. No. 7th Squad barracks, which was nearby to the Administration Bureau. They ran into the pair in that alleyway. What? Those are the kids people have talked about. The young brothers of the Wolfman family who passed through the academy are rumored to be super cute. They were particularly quite famous amongst the female troops like you things. Awesome! 2 vice captains! Shoma's eyes sparkled as he looked up at the couple. Tetsu-san, Lieutenant Abarai and Lieutenant Kuchiki have arrived. Rudy went back to the rear of the squad building to call out Iba. Yo, Wolf Kid, what's your name? Renji bent down. His line of sight connected with Shoma. I'm Shoma. From now, I am an apprentice of Soul Reaper of 7th Squad. Cool. I wish I also had that sort of hair color. You think it's nice color? My real hair? Looking at Renji's crimson hair, Shoma wagged his tail. Yeah. Rukia approached closer as though she was being drawn in by that fluffy tail. Shoma suddenly pricked up his ears and began sniffing. Following the source of the scent, his nose was brought near Rukia's body. Hey! Renji caught the back of Shoma's collar and held him up. You can't just go bodily sniffing a woman like that. If you sniff around like that, it will look bad. Don't sniff around in the first place. I'm sorry, but I did that because there was a sweet scent. I instantly, hearing sweet, Rukia said, I see. Was it the scent of this? From her sleeves, she took out a small pouch. Opening the mouth of that pouch, she showed the inside to Shoma. Candy! Looking at the multicolored candy, Shoma unconsciously licked the tip of his nose while sticking out his tongue. Rukia closed the pouch and handed it over to Shoma. Eat together with your old brother. Yay! Yatta! Shoma hoisted up the pouch and hopped up and down. From behind him, Urui, who had returned with Iba and Tao, said, Thank you very much, Lieutenant Kuchiki. We must go now. Shall we look around the premises? Oh yeah, right. Tetsu-san, thank you for the tail holes. Tetsu-san, see you again tomorrow. Goodbye, Lieutenant Abarai, Lieutenant Kuchiki. Iba urged them forward. Ahead of them, the pair looked as if they were competing as they left. Brothers are very pleasant. They seem quite popular at the academy from what we hear. I strongly understand that feeling. That fluffy tails make me want to touch you or something. Rukia's thoughts ran away to that wagging tail, as if it had seared itself into her memory just now. So, what do you guys come here for? By the looks of it, it seems like you are off duty, but Renji was wearing his soul robes, but with his vice captain badge removed, Rukia was clad in a cool pale gloom green kimono. Iba put his hand on his shin, whilst looking down in the direction of the pair who lowered their heads together. We are going to be getting married now, so we come to pay a visit. We will continue as lieutenants together with being a married couple. So we came to say, please continue your support towards us. I see. Right. Fellow vice captains getting married. This is a joyous thing. Iba clapping his large hands, applauding the shy couple. However, suddenly attending a thought about something, his hand stopped. Marriage registration. Personal record administration bureau. Waiting time. Inside Iba, everything linked together into one. Right now, the both of you are under the personal bureau's damn long waiting time. Right now, the both of you are under the personal bureau's damn long waiting time. That's right. Really? How is it this long? We thought we used the opportunity to come here. Sorry to disturb you, Captain Iba. I don't mind. I suppose we are busy with one thing or another. Thank you for showing up. Iba clapped Rukia's shoulder with a pat. He shrugged Renji's shoulder with a fist. Ouch! Keep it up, Abarai. Iba grinned. Renji answered back with a yes, sir, and bow. I have to return back to work since I am still in the middle of filling the paperwork. I wish you happiness. Iba glanced at the documents tucked under his arm. He then lightly raised his hand at the pair. At the pair as he went to return back to the squad barracks. When they returned to the path leading towards the personal record administration bureau, Rukia asked Renji a question. Renji, Captain Iba, was he always that way from the beginning? Even though I was told he was a certain way, I didn't think anything in particular about it. No? I see. Rukia appeared as if she was thinking about something. What is it? Renji inquired. I don't have that much deep relationship with Captain Iba, but I suppose I was surprised by how easy it was to talk like that. I had the impression that it would be difficult for me to talk to. Well, it's not that easy to talk to type. What would be good to say? Amicable, like he's becoming gentle. Rukia shifted both hands, trying to represent something fluffy and round. That shape. Are you thinking about those small wolf kids? That's right. That's it, Renji. Perhaps Captain Iba had changed because he had become the acting parent of those children. Even though it was through sunglasses, when Iba looked at the Wolfman brothers, his eyes were gentle. Certainly, if such fluffy thing is wandering around near oneself, it's impossible to come off as being unapproachable forever. Rukia strongly thought, while at the same time deeply lamenting the fact that their apprenticeship was not at the 13th squad instead. Oh man, okay, I think... Oh man, let me stretch back. Alright, it's gonna be the last chapter, right, like number 3, part 3, I'm gonna read it. First, let me get Skittles. I'll be right back. I'm gonna get some Skittles and I'll be right back. Villager back. Alright. Back. You guys wondering what sound I did? I did the villager noise for Minecraft. Alright. Oh, we're like halfway done though. It's crazy, like we're almost 3 hours in. I'm like page 71 out of 335. Here we go. Marriage Restoration 3. Squad 4 Barracks Office. After finishing her patrol of the coordinating relief station, Isane Kotetsu returned to the squad barracks. I'm back! She called out whilst opening the door of the office. Well, come, what? Sis? What? The youngest sister Kyoin, who was grappling with piled paperwork on the tabletop, lifted her face up and replied with her mouth remained stuffed with Suzu Castella. Oh! Eating sweets during work again? It's fine. It's only us. I need to consume enough sugar because I use my head for paperwork. You did that at the 13th squad too, right? Without eating sweets? No. The amount of paperwork at the 4th squad is different. I absolutely cannot do without eating this. Yoan said whilst tossing the Suzu Castella up into the air, catching it with her mouth before eating it. Did not stop herself from eating, even as Isane chided her. Did not spill any sugar on the documents. Oh yeah, before coming here just now, I saw Kochikin and Abarai-kun. Oh? They said they were getting married, right? Yep. They'll both keep up as vice captains, so they say they appreciate your continued support. It looked like they were in the process of going to file their marriage registration at the Court Guard Squad's Soldier Record Administration Breyu. Oh, it's near this place. I was asked if the wait for the soldier bravery was long, so I informed them that it was quick around there. As the name suggests, the Court Guard Squad Soldier Administration Bureau is the administrative office that manages the information and data of soldiers belonging to the 13th Court Squad. Since it's the only off-duty officers who receives the reception window, waiting time is remarkably short compared to that of the Personnel Record Administration Brayru. When I became vice captain, I also went there to adjust the record of my squad affiliation. It's already been 3 years since then. After the former death of Captain Retsu Unahana, Isane was urgently appointed as Squad 4 captain. Also, I just learned that Isane is tall. She is tall as heck. I'm not kidding. Look up Isane's height and you'll see what I'm talking about. It was compulsory appointment where refusal or putting it on hold for later could not be permitted. Squad 4 is a facility that includes the Coordinated Relief Station, which is a hospital for Soul Reaper. It was impossible to proceed forward in the absence of a leader at the time, when they had numerous wounded people from the war. It may be difficult, but I have no choice but to request this of you. I'm sorry. Kyoraku himself visited Isane. He left behind a written appointment letter. For a short while, Isane stared at the blank amazement at the letter. Snapping up, she chased after Kyoraku. She caught up with him at the spot. At the spot he exited the squad barracks. She put forward her wish to have Kyoin Kotetsu installed as her vice captain, at the same time as her own inauguration as captain. Hey big sis, you're vice captain. Why was it me? Kyoin asked without pausing her hand from her task. What's this all of a sudden? Come to think of it, I believe I never asked you. Since we grew accustomed to working around each other as soon as I took office, we were able to do our best, right? Both of us were feeling down on top of that. That's why I wish that. Sanin muttered those few words whilst processing the paperwork one by one. At that time, I wanted to stay close with Kyonin. I wanted Kyonin close to me, so I can be there for her. Sane with Unahana, Kyonin with Ukitake. They have just lost partners that they had felt mutual sense of reverences for. Isane thought they could not overcome it unless they support each other. Of course, not only that, Kyoin's recovery arts ability was also taken into account. Yeah, thanks, but is it enough to be nominated for vice captain? Kyoin laughed and turned her head, becoming a little shy at the serious tone of the conversation. What are you talking about? You were number 1 out of all of your classmates in recovery arts. Guess so. Learning in the classroom as opposed to particle training was completely useless. It seems that it was written in the data of the academy that your recovery arts ability was so high that they had supplement that more. Captain Unahana put off saying it all the time. In truth, Kyoin, you're supposed to be assigned to the 4th squad. Really? If I remember correctly, I wrote down my wish to join the 4th squad on course evaluation reports. Isana revealed that her younger sister wished to work at the same squad. Unahana smiled softly at Isana and informed her of the true state of affairs. Just before the official decision was made, Ryusai-sama suggested to the head of the academy and Captain Unahana that Kyoin be assigned to the 13th squad. Captain Unahana said that they wanted to place a young person whose specialty is recovery arts near Captain Ukitake. Particularly at that time, Captain Ukitake's health has become discouraging. Captain Unahana would frequently go up to Ungedo for his medical treatments. Right, it was like that. At the time though, I also talked about it to you, Big Sis. It was strange that they immediately sent in a fresh recruit to be the captain's personal guardian. I see, Ryusai-sama. Yoen once again recalls how truly loved Captain Ukitake was by everyone. New recruits themselves as well as veteran soldiers alike held deep admiration for Ukitake. Whenever they encountered him, Yoen instantly came to love him a lot. When Kyoin joined Squad 13, Captain Ukitake started to gradually recover, and when Captain Unahana returned from her house calls, she would speak highly of Kyoin. I was very happy. What a wonderful younger sister, she would say as Isana remembers being beyond ecstatic about herself. Because Kyoin had the seal of approval from Captain Unahana, she could confidentially bear the title of Squad 4 Lieutenant. That's enough. It's not that I'm losing my self-confidence, but thanks, big sis. Kyoin's smile reached her hand towards Suzu Castello. However, Inside of the paper bag was empty already. Oh, it's all gone. Fix this. Don't you have anything sweet? You're still eating? Won't you have dinner? Even though I'm full, I still have room for dessert, so it's fine. While she said that, Isane opened a cupboard which was tightly packed with sweets. There's so many. Does my big sis really eat sweets like that? Those are snacks from flower arrangement class. Everyone has tea and sweets while observing the flower arrangement. Unahana used to host monthly flower arrangement classes. Now Isane continues to do so. Yoen does not participate because her legs get too numb while sitting on her heels. However, it is a popular class where most of the female troops of the 4th squad attend. Even so, it looks like a lot. The shelves were crammed full of a variety of sweets. She just had to buy those. They were sweets that Yachiru-chan liked. Excuse me, sorry. Those are the last words Isane exchanged with Yachiru Kusajishi. Yachiru Kusajishi. As she applied the spiritual pressure healing treatment in both of Yachiru's arms, which ended up broken and fractured by the certain reader V, Visionary, Remy Someg's ability. Yoen was able to release the breath she had held in. Phew. With this, you should be able to move one way or another. Thank you, Kote-chin. Just in case you've forgotten, Just in case you've forgotten, Yachiru called Isane Kote-chin. Smiling and getting up, Yachiru looked up at the stage Grammy had produced. Kenpachi Zaraki and Grammy battle on top of an enormous kuboi that was formed by racing up the ground. I have to go. Ah! Please wait! Lieutenant Kusajishi! You shouldn't move around so vigorously yet. Isane's outstretched arm slipped through quickly as she broke off into a run. Finally, Ken-chan can call out to me, she faintly murmured. Those were Yachiru's words, the last that Isane had heard. Since there is no longer a chairwoman, the Soul Reapers Women's Association meetings does not take place anymore. Vice President Nanao-san is busy, and research and development is in charge of Nemu-san, who is currently still a baby. Yoren resumed her work while scoping down Konpeito. Insane leaned forward with an Nemu-san, she's already grown up to the state of the baby? Last time I saw her, she was not yet completely. She recalls being able to perplex at being introduced to Nemuri Hachiko, a clump of flesh floating around the inside of a transparent cylinder filled with a culture fluid. Because everyone was saying they were scared they didn't want to go, during this time I had to take the medical examination results from those guys at the Technological Development Bureau, right? So I saw Nemu-san at the time. She was quietly crawling around the department. When I greeted her, she stopped and bowed her head. It was cute. Hachiko was created based on the brain, retrieved from the artificially created soul, Nemuri Nanago. Although the body is different, Nanago's memory and spirit is being taken over. I wonder if it's okay if I also go and see her. Why not? I got the impression that Captain Kurosuichi can't help but brag about her. Isane instantly broke into a smile and said, I wonder when it's good. She is happily turned over the tabletop schedule book. Suddenly, she lifted her face as if something had just struck her mind. Shall we also invite everyone when we go to meet Nemu-san? Soul Reaper Women Association? Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Yoen nodded in agreement and gave a broad smile. This was the first step towards a launch of a new order of Soul Reapers Women's Association. Oh man, yep. Guess we're gonna stop right there. I have read a lot. Wait, how many? Can I click? 77 out of 300 of 135. I assume by the end of the novel, there's usually arts that Kubo Sensei draws at the end. So I assume that's what those extra pages for. So I'm gonna stop right there and ow. Yeah, so far, I'm actually loving this story though. I'm gonna have to like finish it off stream. My throat. Oh god. Might have to finish it off stream though, and then I'll also read the one shot of Hell. So yeah, so far I'm enjoying it. I love it. Wait, actually, hold on. Let me see. Wait, page 77. How? Let me see. Actually, actually, this chapter there's like enough pages. You know, there's enough. Actually, wait, there's actually enough. Chapter. We'll read one more chapter. One more chapter. This is one chapter we'll read. There's actually enough. Here we go. Ready? Alright, guys. Chat. Ready? Sorry. Stream's not over yet. We're still reading. We're still reading, y'all. Marriage registration for 6 Squads Barracks. Lieutenant's room. After they finished submitting their documents to the Higher Order Spirit Ring administration very early than expected, they had quite some time left until the Noble Assembly reception counter was open, which they had to visit next. Renji, who was accompanied by Rukia, came to pack things up at his private quarters. You haven't titty up at all? As soon as she opened the Fusama slide screen, Rukia was dumbfounded by the disastrous scene before her. Surrounding the futon that was laid out at the center of the room, clothes, books, a soccer ball, to muscle training goods, every possible items, literally everything in chaos. It's because I was occupied one way or another. It couldn't be helped, you know. There's a box over there, so you can gradually pack everything in however you want. It's okay to do it however we want, but shouldn't we consider sorting it out? Now, right now, speed is essential. We'll sort everything out at our new home. Whilst wondering whether that would be reality, Rukia began to pack things up off the floor into 2 boxes. Oh my gosh, guys, I think I'm like losing. Oh, I think I take my what I say. I don't think I got enough to read. I think I used up all my energy reading. Sorry. No. Mama raised no quitter. Mama raised no quitter. Mama raised no quitter. Here, let's go. Wait, where did I last stop? Right. Officially seated members who are 9th scene or above are given private rooms within the squad barracks. Most people will go to sleep and wake up there. However, people wishing to live outside the squad barracks are given a class of housing appropriate to their station. No more than 1 room of housing complex is rented out to those up to 30. But when it comes to the captains and vice captains, they are provided with detached housing large enough to be called mansions. Until now, Renji was living at the squad barracks, Rukia at the Kochiki mansion. After the establishment of their marriage, they will both utilize this system and move into the mansion together, built in the central first sector. Sweet. This looks okay. I'll tidy up a bit by a bit later myself. Thanks, Rukia. This is enough? Alright. To Rukia, the place still seemed like it was cluttered, but she convinced herself it's good enough if the person himself says it's okay. There's still a little time. Drink some tea or breaking Renji off mid-sentence. Renji-san! The third seat of a 6th squad, Yuki Richi Kichi, came running down the hallway whilst waving his hands. That's good. Made it in time. What is it, Richi Kichi? Rikichi. Rikichi, is that how you pronounce it? I'll say. What is it, Rikichi? What do you want with me? Well, both you rather than just Renji-san, and not me but my younger brother. Me, also? Younger brother? Younger brother, I'll call him. The pair turned their heads as he left them on that spot. Rikichi continued to run through the hallway. Not even a minute had passed, and Rikichi had returned accompanied by the 13th squad's Ryosuke Yuki. You're Ryosuke Yuki? Aren't you stationed on duty? I apologize. Sorry, that was my phone notification. I apologize. Jinho-san should be undertaking those duties sufficiently. So please pardon my intuition, Ryosuke said, energetically dashing to kneel on the halled ground before them. Urahara-san wants to convey to the vice captain that you should feel more at ease than usual because Tesei Sukabishi-san will join in aiding Shino-san. Shino Madarame is Ryosuke's companion. There are 2 persons set up stationed on duty in Karakura Town. That being the case, there is no need to worry. You know each other? I am a soldier of the 13th Squad. I am tasked with an ongoing mission in Karakura Town, and he is my brother. It seems this guy has a package for the 2 of you from Kisuke Urahara-san. Prompted by Rikichi, Ryosuke removed something wrapped in the cloth that he was carrying on his back. He held out a box that was inside it to the pair. For some reason, I'm afraid I can't open it. Renji, who accepted the case, placed his hand over the lid. Because it's a gift from that guy. Rukia, who appeared as if she was being hidden by Renji's body, watched intently as his hand worked to open the box. Just before the box was completely open, a puff of white smoke appeared from inside. Urahara's voice began to play out. Hello! It's been a while since I last contacted you. What? Regardless of the fact that Renji had thrown the box in shock, the voice continued to stream out. Ryosuke crouched down, appearing to be protecting his head with both arms. Rikichi, unable to remain standing due to the surprise, fell on his backside. Kuchiki-san, Haburai-san, congratulations on your marriage! Sounds of fanfare reverted in addition to his voice. Did you tell him about it? Renji inquired. Rukia shook her head from side to side. It's the 2nd day off duty together for you both, so that must mean today, to start with, you should have gone to the High Spirit Burial. After experiencing the trauma of the waiting time at the personal burial, the 2 of you set out from early morning. However, you unexpectedly finished early since there is time until the next public office is open. This time, you should be returning to the 6th Squad's barracks to tidy up the lieutenant's room. Seeing as Aburai-san is well acquainted with Rikichi Yuki-san, I thought I'd get Rikichi-san's younger brother Ryosuke-san to go there. You are practically a psychic. I don't know, I'm bad with words, I'm sorry. You're practically a psychic, aren't you? Renji yelled while sweating. Of course Urahara couldn't respond because it was recording. Because I am indebted to you both, I have also prepared a special gift for you from Urahara's shop. In an instant, the white smoke cleared away, and its content became exposed. Tenikui! Literature Transfer Post Wrap Assistor. Inside there were red pegs and blue pegs, 8 of each no bigger than one's palm, and fitted into the space that was empty. There was a silver-colored plate with a Tenikui Wrap Assistor carved onto it. Excuse me. Those pegs were made using the technology of the Tenkai Kenshu. With this, you are able to transfer items between the 2 points when you enclose something with 4 of those pegs of the same color. I have sent the 2 sets for you, the 2 of you who will be living together outside the barracks after this, so now you are able to move things between your house and respective barracks in an instant. Tenkai Ketchu. Think back to the fake Karakura Town arc. This device Urahara created to swap out the real Keitei with a fake of the forged giant pillars.